This boy's name is Izo, and every night, he shares a bed with two gorgeous women. But here's the thing, he's absolutely miserable. In fact, every time they get close, he instinctively backs away. Because these women aren't human. They're disaster-class viruses, Izo's own twisted creations. One slip up, and they'll devour him whole. No joke, nothing will be left. You see, Izo's not your average guy. He's an alchemist, a specialist in crafting living catastrophes. But even he didn't see this coming. One day, something went horribly wrong in one of his experiments. He had followed the blueprint for the so-called final calamity. But instead of a nightmare, he ended up with a girl. A drop-dead, gorgeous one. At first, Izo thought she was just a disguise, some kind of fake human shell hiding the real danger. He even figured those two protrusions were probably energy storage units. But the test results? Completely unexpected. The softness, the warmth, the texture, everything pointed to one impossible truth. She was just an ordinary human girl. Izo was completely breaking down. He had grafted the Angel of Annihilation's left arm onto her, and the sorrowful eye of the Emerald Queen. Where the hell did that go? And most importantly, the perpetual core? Why wasn't there even the faintest sound of a mechanical heartbeat? That's when his assistant, a giant rat, suddenly screamed, "Watch out!" In the very next moment, the girl lunged and sank her teeth into Izo's carotid artery. The rat looked devastated. "Farewell, my friend. I'll carry on the legacy of House Persiolade." But then Izo's furious voice rang out, "You damn rat. I swear I'll stuff a back's stink bug eggs into your precious cheese vault." The rat snapped. "What? That's messed up. Wait, you're alive." Turns out, the blood from earlier wasn't Izo's at all. He stood up with pride. "I am Izo Persiolade, the greatest alchemical genius of this century. You think I died to one of my own test subjects? Remember? I had you add my liquefied soul extract into the final calamity's incubation tank. She has a natural affinity for my soul. She literally can't hurt me." The rat rubbed his chin. "Liquefied soul extract. That doesn't sound familiar. All I remember is getting drunk that night, and you handing me some bottle to dump into the tank." The rat continued. "It actually smelled kinda nice, so I poured it into my drink instead." Mid-sentence, he suddenly slapped his forehead. "Oh no, we're screwed." Just then, Izo barked a command. "Final calamity. As your creator, I order you, get off of me." But she didn't move. She just stared at him and started leaning in closer. The next second, her tongue came out, and she licked him. Izo's face turned red on the spot. Then she licked him again. That did it. He went full crimson. He shoved her away in a panic. "I've been compromised," he yelled. "Rat, get the purification spray now." Without hesitation, he slammed a button on the console. Final Calamity blinked, confused, before being instantly sealed back inside the containment pod. Realizing she was trapped, she started to panic, slamming her fists against the glass. Izo let out a breath and began thoroughly disinfecting himself. But halfway through, something clicked. That girl. He rushed to a nearby cabinet and started rummaging through old files. Moments later, he pulled one out. The original subject of the final calamity. As he'd suspected, the girl was subject number 2252. The rat's eyes widened. "Wait a sec. That's the half-dead chick we rescued a year ago. No wonder she looked so familiar." "Hold on," the rat muttered. "Wasn't subject 2252 a purple-haired girl? When did she go blonde?" Izo replied flatly, "That's the issue. In her personality, it's changed too." Flashback, 1 year ago, in the city of Gordon inside the White Queen Bank. Deep within a hidden ventilation shaft, a biochemical bomb lay in wait. When the timer hit 0, it released a cloud of deadly toxin. Meanwhile, inside the bank's restroom, the rat pulled down his mask. The dragon spider venom should be kicking in about now. Izo nodded. "Good. Let's begin." The two geared up and stormed into the bank. By then, the toxic gas had filled the entire building. Everyone had already collapsed. One security guard, still conscious, growled, "Bastards! Who the hell are you? You got guts hitting the White Queen Bank. Do you even know who owns this? Izo shot him mid-sentence. Don't really care. The guard instantly morphed into a blob of slime. Izo glanced at it and smirked. Honestly, you look way cuter like this. The rat strolled over to a woman and her young son. The mother immediately broke down. Take whatever you want, please, just don't kill me. The rat smirked. You said it yourself. Then he snatched the lollipop from the little boy's hand. Strawberry milk flavor. My favorite. The kid burst into tears on the spot. Meanwhile, Izo had flipped the sign to close for business and lock the bank doors. The rat aimed a thermal gun at the counter and started melting through the glass. Once they reached the vault, Izo placed an explosive charge on the main door. One massive boom later, the vault swung open, revealing stacks of cash and piles of gold. The two fist bumped in pure joy. Let's take it all, baby. We're the bad guys. That night, the two stood on a rooftop, bottles in hand, celebrating like kings. Then bang, a gunshot rang out in the distance. Both of them hit the deck, scrambling behind a nearby water tank. Izo whispered, "Who fired that shot? Is the Security Patrol Bureau onto us?" The rat listened closely. No, that wasn't a standard patrol issue. That was a large caliber revolver. Down in a dark alley, a man stepped into view, cigarette in mouth, revolver in hand. It was none other than the city's so-called hero, director of the Lighthouse Division, Gordon Security Patrol, the bullet gentleman, Home Milk. In front of him, a woman missing half her limbs was desperately crawling forward. The rat scowled. Home Milk, that old bastard. We just cleaned out a whole bank in his district, and he doesn't even blink. But now he's out here chasing some cripple? What? Are we not big enough fish for him? Izo held up a hand. Chill, let's hear what he's saying. Whole Milk looked down at the crawling woman and said calmly, "A real hound of the underdogs unit. Huh? Even in that state, you took out 5 of my Tier 1 officers. But now look at you, crawling like a mutt. Tell me, where's the underdogs assassination roster? Say the word, and I might let you live. I am a gentleman, after all." The woman glared at Whole Milk with burning hatred in her eyes. Whole Milk let out a chuckle. Oh, right. I almost forgot. The Underdogs unit, for the sake of secrecy, had every member's vocal cords removed, communications, all in hand signals. What a sad little bunch. Just then, the woman slowly reached behind her and pulled out a filthy teddy bear. Whole Milk's smile vanished. He fired instantly, right in her hand. Seriously? You're still trying to pull something? Bad girl. He bent down and picked up the stuffed bear. Wait. Don't tell me. This ragged toy is where you hid the assassination list? Bleeding, the woman grabbed his pant leg, reaching for the bear with trembling fingers. All she could manage was a strained, agonized ah. Without hesitation, Whole Milk smashed the butt of his revolver into her head. Guess this filthy little bear really means a lot to you, huh? Then here, take it back. Whole Milk tossed the teddy bear back at the woman's feet. Then bang, he blew the bear's head clean off. The alley echoed with the woman's blood-curdling scream. Whole Milk exhaled coldly. Whatever. Even without the list, your corpse will fetch a bounty. Not as much, but it'll do. Just then, someone started clapping. Well. Gordon City's justice incarnate. The fearless, incorruptible hero. The bullet gentleman himself. Turns out, you've got a price tag after all. Izo and the rat stepped out of the shadows. Whole Milk spun around, gun raised. Who's there? Izo smiled, unfazed. Allow me to introduce myself. Standing before you is the most notorious criminal in Gordon City and the greatest alchemical genius of this century, Baron Izo. The rat cleared his throat. Izo blinked, then snapped his fingers. All right, how rude of me. This is my first lieutenant, Dr. Mad Rat. The rat immediately jumped in. Hold up, I gotta correct that. I'm not a minion. I'm a partner in crime. We operate on an equal basis. Thank you very much. Also, it's the mysterious and mad Dr. Rat. Don't forget the adjectives. The two instantly started bickering. You already have mad and mad rat. Why throw crazy on top of that? Because I like it that way. Mind your business. Whole Milk cut them off, clearly annoyed. I'm not here to play kindergarten. Keep bothering the grown-ups, and you'll miss your next milk break, little boys." Izo's tone dropped. "Looks like he's underestimating us. Madrat, show him what we've been working on." With a grin, they tossed 2 heavy duffel bags onto the ground. Whole Milk glanced down at the bags. His expression darkened instantly. "So, it was you two, the ones who hit the White Queen Bank earlier this evening." The two grinned smugly at Whole Milk's recognition. Whole Milk stared them down. Criminals who brag about their crimes to satisfy some twisted emotional need are usually insecure and desperate for validation. In my experience, people like that are always bottom-tier trash. He raised his revolver slowly. "I don't usually waste bullets on rookies or garbage. Each shot costs too much. But for you two, I'll make an exception. As a gentleman, I'll give you 3 seconds to run." Izo opened his arms with a smirk. "No need. Go ahead, fire. Let me witness the legendary elegance of Gordon City's top marksman, the bullet gentleman himself." "As you wish." Whole Milk narrowed his eyes and squeezed the trigger, but his finger wouldn't move. What the hell? Why isn't the trigger working?" Panic crept into his face as the gun in his hand suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. His legs trembled. He couldn't even keep himself upright. That's when Whole Milk finally noticed it. One of the money bags was leaking a faint green mist. Izo smirked. "Took you long enough that's neurocellular paralysis gas, codename the Powerless. Humans exposed to 300 ppm for just 8 seconds begin to lose control of their bodies. You've been breathing it in for over a minute." Whole Milk's face darkened. "What's your goal? Are you trying to rescue that woman?" Izo scoffed. "Please, we're villains. You really think we're the kind of people who save others?" Bang! He fired straight at Whole Milk's head. "We just can't stand watching so-called heroes like you strut around." Whole Milk instantly turned into a glowing green slime. Terrified, he started oozing away. The rat didn't bother chasing him. T-Sich, silver-ranked city hero? What a joke. He clapped his paws together. "All right, clean up the scene. We're heading back to base to party." Izo crouched in front of the injured woman. The rat raised an eyebrow. "Yo, what are you doing?" "Observing," Izo said flatly. "Just curious how much longer she can stay alive." He inspected her injuries like a surgeon reading a checklist. Left arm and leg severed. Wounds starting to rot. Bullet through the right palm. Rib cages practically dust. Right eye gouged. Half her fingernails ripped off. Vocal cords burned. That heartbeat's erratic. Cardiac failure imminent. And her blood's loaded with at least 4 different types of high-grade toxins. He stared at her, intrigued. It's a miracle she's still breathing. Who the hell is she? The Bureau doesn't torture just anyone like this. The rat rolled his eyes. Who cares? She's dying anyway. Let's head back and party. It's way more important. He squinted at Izo suspiciously. Wait, you're not thinking of saving her, are you? Izo practically jumped back. Save her. I'm Baron Izo, the #1 evil mastermind in this city. Saving people? That's insulting. The rat let out a sigh of relief. Phew, thought you'd gone soft or something. Enough of this hero talk. Let's get out of here. Just before leaving, Izo glanced back. The woman was still crawling forward, inch by inch. He muttered to himself, seriously? After all that? What the hell is she even trying to do? But then he scoffed and turned away. Whatever. People rot and die in these alleys every day. Has nothing to do with me. Thunder cracked overhead. Rain poured down in sheets. Izo and the rat opened their umbrellas and walked off. But the woman, she never looked away. Her gaze stayed locked on that torn-up teddy bear lying ahead. With the last of her strength, she dragged herself over and wrapped her arms around it. And for the first time, she smiled. Eyes closed, still smiling. She let the cold rain soak her motionless body. Just then, a foot splashed down in the puddle beside her. It was Izo. He came back. In the operating room, the rat, dressed in full surgical gear, yelled, "Do you even realize what we're doing right now?" Izo shrugged, totally unfazed. Performing surgery? The rat's eyes went red with rage. We're saving someone's life, damn it. Since when did you start picking up bad habits like rescuing people? Did you forget our dream? Izo replied without hesitation. Of course not. Our goal is to become the most evil villains the world has ever seen, and bring back the terrifying glory of House Perxalate. But to do that, we need to create the ultimate bioweapon, something that can wipe out humanity and rival the gods themselves. Final Calamity. The host body for Final Calamity must embody every extreme negative emotion: pain, despair, sorrow, rage, but above all, it has to retain a single, untouched speck of pure goodness deep within the soul, that tiny spark. That's what makes Final Calamity controllable. We've failed over 1,000 times because none of the previous subject had it. But this woman, she fits the criteria perfectly. The rat frowned. Yeah, but she's hanging on by a thread. She could croak any second now. Izo's eyes sharpened. Then there's no time to waste. We begin the Final Calamity procedure. Immediately, you prep the transplant materials. I'll go extract the womb blood from the cocoon of despair. The rat snapped his fingers. On it. Moments later, the surgical materials were laid out. The withered left arm of the Angel of Annihilation. The sorrow-soaked right eye of the Emerald Queen. A Jinn, 3 upgraded artificial heart. The heart eternal. And finally, purified womb blood from the decay-cleansed cocoon of despair. Izo pulled on his gloves with a grin. Time to create a miracle. But to their utter shock, after 400 days of non-stop effort, the ultimate bioweapon they'd created, Final Calamity, turned out to be a clueless, wide-eyed anime girl. The rat stared at her blankly. So now what? Izo sighed. Start the usual protocol tomorrow morning. Observation, cultivation, and combat tests. If she turns out to be defective, we scrap her. I'm not keeping a failed experiment around. But that night, Izo found himself tossing and turning in bed. Her innocent eyes, her confused expression, the image kept replaying in his mind. Ugh, seriously? He threw off his blanket in frustration. He headed back to the lab. She was still in the containment tank, quiet, at least. But her small body was trembling like a scared little animal. Izo paused. You've got to be kidding me. The almighty Final Calamity, afraid of the dark. Izo turned to leave. Not my problem. Just another test subject. Probably defective anyway. But he stopped. The image of her licking him, then trembling alone in the tank, it flashed through his mind. He clenched his teeth, fists tightening. And then, he sighed. With a heavy hand, he pressed the red button. The glass chamber hissed open, releasing a puff of steam. Come on out, Final Calamity, he muttered. I'll take you somewhere you can actually sleep. Moments later, he led the girl down to the 7th floor of Nightmare Nest, the high-risk containment ward. A sealed dragon suddenly roared from its cell. Izio, you bastard. I swear I'll eat you alive when I get out. That was specimen number 008, Dread Rage Dragon. A massive floating eyeball creaked open and growled. I will peer into your soul and cast it into eternal torment. That was specimen number 015, Abyssal Gaze. Izo suddenly added, out of all my high-risk specimens, specimen 008 and 015 are the most cheerful ones. You'll be living right between them. Shouldn't be scared anymore. The girl was placed in a containment pod between 2 monstrous entities. Her expression turned fearful again the moment the glass closed. But Izo was already waving goodbye. All right then, play nice. I'm off to bed. Back in his room, he finally relaxed. Yeah, that should keep Final Calamity from feeling lonely. Time to get some proper sleep. Meanwhile, inside the containment zone, Dread Rage Dragon growled, Hey, Eyeball, this is the high-risk ward. What gives that little human the right to be caged with beings like us? Abyssal Gaze replied, lazily, Beats me. Wait, I think I heard Izo mutter something about her being the Final Calamity. Dread Rage Dragon burst out laughing. Final Calamity? That tiny ant? Are you kidding me? Abyssal Gaze chuckled too. Izo's Final Calamity project has failed like 1,000 times already. At least the past ones look terrifying. But this? A plain human girl? What a joke. Ha ha ha. Just then, the tiny human girl softly tapped on the glass wall. Dread Rage Dragon snorted, Hey, little missy, give it up. That's a high-frequency Bayer crystal barrier made by that lunatic Izo himself. Not even I could break it when I was in full berserk mode. If you can crack it, I'll be your mount. Abyssal gaze chimed in mockingly. Indeed. Even my strongest magical beam couldn't scratch that wall. If you break through it, I'll gladly become your pet. The girl suddenly stopped moving. The next moment, her arm began to glow red hot, turning into molten magma. Without a word, she slammed her burning hand against the crystal wall. Both monsters froze in shock. Wait, that technique. Her magma-coated hand remained pressed against the glass for a beat. Then came a roaring burst of flame, crackling and shrieking as the so-called unbreakable crystal wall shattered like brittle ice. Moments later, a massive hole melted clean through the supposedly indestructible crystal wall, its edges still glowing with heat. The girl stared at the gap, completely puzzled. She had no idea what had just happened, or why her hand had transformed like that. Meanwhile, Dreadrage Dragon and Abyssal Gaze were utterly dumbfounded. Dreadrage dropped to his knees and bowed frantically. "Boss lady, please accept this humble dragon's respect. From now on, I'm your loyal mount. Just please melt my wall too." Abyssal Gaze followed suit, lowering his massive form. "Boss lady, I hereby swear my undying loyalty. I'll be your devoted pet. Just let me out for some fresh air, please." Meanwhile, just as Iser drifted off into sleep, he was jolted awake by a piercing alarm. Ratty came rushing in, shouting, "What the hell's going on?" "That's the high security alarm, and it's a level 4 breach. That means at least 3 containment cells had their crystal walls compromised, and the subjects inside fully escaped. We have to shut this down fast." On the way to the containment zone, Ratty checked the alert log. Escaped subjects F202, subject number 8, Doomfang the Ravager. F204, subject number 15, Abyssal Eyeblight. And NF203. Wait a sec, wasn't that cell supposed to be empty? Iser snatched the tablet from his hands. His eyes widened as he saw footage of the girl melting through the crystal wall with her left arm. "She's manifested the arm of the Inbringer," he said, thrilled. Ratty, however, lost it. "Hold up. Forget that. Why the hell is Final Calamity in the high-risk sector?" Ding! The elevator arrived with a cold chime. As the doors slid open, chaos greeted them. 2 monstrous entities were wreaking havoc. Iser narrowed his eyes. "You two done with your little tantrum yet?" Only then did the 2 abyssal beasts slowly turn to face them. Doomfang roared first. "You bastard, Iser. You've locked me up like a damn lab rat for too long. It's payback time." Before he could strike, Ratty casually fired a shot. A cloud of smoke burst right over Doomfang's head. "What the hell is this?" the dragon snarled. Iser calmly replied, "That's a biogrenade packed with over 200 spider dragon eggs. As a dragon, you should know exactly what those are." Doomfang's voice trembled. Those are the parasitic spiders that feed exclusively on dragonkind and their kin. Once they hatch, there's no escape, only death. "Correct," Iser said with a cold smile. "Smart dragon." At that moment, Abyssal I launched a sneak attack. While that idiot Doomfangs got his attention, my magic beam will melt Iser down to atoms. But Iser casually raised his hand and tossed a grenade into the air. The massive eye instinctively locked onto it. In the blink of an eye, the grenade exploded in a flash of blinding white light. "Aakak, my eye. I'm going blind." "Damn you, Iser," the monster howled. Iser smirked. "So, you two still feeling rebellious? Or ready to crawl back to your cages?" Doomfang snarled, "Don't think you've won. We've still got our big sis." "That's right. Abyssal," I added. "She melted through your indestructible crystal wall like butter. You don't stand a chance against her." Iser raised an eyebrow. "Big sis." And then, between the 2 rampaging monsters, a golden-haired girl calmly stepped forward. Iser's expression hardened. "It really is the Final Calamity. Damn it. If she's out of control, we've got a serious problem." Doomfang burst into laughter. Well, look who's finally showing fear. Haven't seen that face in a while, Iser." It roared, stirring the flames. "Big sis, this bastard locked us up, ran tests on us like we were rats. It's an unforgivable insult. Please, make him pay for everything. The golden-haired girl slowly approached, step by step, tension thick in the air. Even Mad Rat was panicking now. Wait, you don't have a contingency plan for containing the final calamity? Iser gritted his teeth. Theoretically speaking, there's no known physical method that can fully suppress her. Suddenly, the girl raised her foot and dashed straight toward him. Iser's heart dropped. Oh no! In the next instant, she tackled him to the ground. Doomfang cackled smugly. It's not too late to beg. Scrape these dragon spider eggs off me, kiss my claws, and maybe I'll put in a good word for you with Big Sis, so she spares your life. But wait too long, and she might just rip your head off. But the very next second, the dragon froze mid-taunt. Wait, Big Sis? What are you doing? The final calamity was pouncing on Iser again, just like a puppy, gleefully licking his face. Iser groaned, pushing her face away. Final calamity? Seriously? Can you please stop licking me? The blonde girl just blinked, her face blank and clueless. Abba. Iser face-bombed. Okay, I get it. You don't want to sleep here, right? Fine. I'll move you somewhere else. Happy. Instantly, she bounced at him again. He held her back with both hands. Stop licking me. What are you, a dog? Doomfang was full-on panicking now. Where's the crazy lava move? The one you used to melt the crystal wall? Big Sis. Iser narrowed his eyes, glaring at the two beasts. So, you encouraged the final calamity to destroy the containment chamber and interrupted my peaceful sleep. Tell me, how should I thank you two? In the end, Draker the dragon was forced into a bright pink restraint suit. He roared, I'm a proud dragon. If you're going to punish me, at least do it with some dignity. How am I supposed to show my face in a high-risk containment block now? Meanwhile, Abyssal Eye's chamber was filled to the brim with onions. It screeched my eyes. Get these wretched things away from me. At the same time, the final calamity was being escorted out of the high-risk zone. Iser sighed, rubbing his temples. Now here comes the real problem. She refuses to sleep in Lab Zero and won't stay in the observation ward either. So where the hell is she supposed to sleep tonight? Mad Rat shrugged. Easy. Just let her sleep in your room. Iser exploded. You stupid rat. Are you insane? There's no way I'm letting a test subject share a room with me. Mad Rat shrugged again, unfazed. Well, she only listens to you. If you send her elsewhere and she causes another disaster, that's on you. Keeping her close is the safest bet. Iser smirked confidently. Of course, I added my own soul extract during her cultivation. That naturally creates an affinity between us. But Mad Rat scratched his head awkwardly. Yeah, about that. I never actually put your soul extract into the tank. Iser grabbed him by the collar. What did you just say? Mad Rat frantically explained. It's not my fault. You gave it to me while I was drunk. And you know how liquefied soul extract smells, like a fine vintage. I was wasted. I thought it was a drink. Iser was fuming. Damn it, you idiot. That was our final safeguard. Without the link, if the final calamity goes berserk, we're all dead. Hold up. Look behind you. Mad Rat pointed urgently. They turned to see the final calamity crawling into the giant fish tank. The next moment, she dove headfirst into the water and grabbed a fish barehanded. The 9-headed Hydra hatchlings inside the tank all cowered in fear, hiding behind coral formations. Iser snapped, hey, Little 9 isn't a toy. Get out of that tank right now. But underwater, she couldn't hear a thing. Iser had had enough. He grabbed her leg and yanked hard. The final calamity was forcefully pulled out of the water. But the force dragged Iser down too, sending him crashing to the ground. Then, blackness. She had landed squarely on his face. A moment later, she sat nearby with an innocent look, staring at his red, flattened face. Iser scolded, Final calamity. As your creator, I command you, never, ever go into Little 9's tank again. Right then, she let out a loud sneeze. Soaked from head to toe, she looked utterly pitiful. Iser sighed in defeat. Ugh, filthy mess. Fine, let's at least get you cleaned up first. Soon after, Iser had the bathtub filled with warm water. He grabbed Final Calamity's hand and scanned under her armpit a few times. 3 scans later, it really seemed like she didn't carry any pathogens. Still, he muttered, frowning, just the idea of an experiment bathing in my tub is disgusting. He turned to her and said coldly, "All right, once I leave, take a bath on your own." "Got it." She stared back at him with her usual blank, clueless eyes. Iser face-bombed with a sigh. Resigned, he added some hand gestures for clarity. "After I leave, you take off your clothes. Then get in here and wash up." "Understood." This time, she finally gave a slow, obedient nod. But the next second, Final Calamity actually began taking off her shirt. Right in front of him, Iser freaked out. "Whoa, I said after I leave, you idiot." Instinctively, he slammed his eyes shut, then paused. "Wait a minute, why am I acting shy? I'm a great alchemist." To a true alchemist, test subjects have no gender. I must face her with honor. He snapped his eyes open, only to be met with a flood of blood shooting from his nose. And just like that, he collapsed from blood loss. Moments later, he was back up, nose stuffed with tissues to stop the bleeding. Now, wearing tinted goggles for safety. As he rinsed her hair with the shower head, he sighed in defeat. "Damn it. In the end, I still have to wash this troublesome brat myself." He set the shower head down and squeezed out some shampoo, then gently rubbed it onto Final Calamity's head. While scrubbing, he reminded her sternly, "No moving, and no opening your eyes. If a shampoo gets in there, I'm not responsible for going blind." "All right, tilt your head back." She obediently leaned her head back, letting the warm water rinse through her hair. Iser couldn't help but think, man, gotta admit, her biocarbon shell really is deceivingly soft. A moment later, he turned off the water. Tossed her a towel. "I'm not your maid, got it? Dry yourself. I don't care if you're the damn Final Calamity. I'm not wiping you down." As he turned to leave, his foot hit a stray bar of soap. His body flew back, right into the bathtub with a thud. Holding the back of his head, he groaned, damn it, that hurt like hell." Iser rubbed the back of his head, grumbling, seriously should have just blasted her with a pressure hose in the decking room. But Final Calamity only stared at him with those big, worried eyes. She reached out to help him up. Right then, the door burst open. "Hey, I found an anti-explosion collar. If you're still worried about Final Calamity turning on you, then..." The rat stopped mid-sentence, frozen by what he saw. After a beat, he slowly grinned and shut the door. "Well, guess I misread the vibe. You two carry on." The door clicked shut behind him. Standing in the hallway, the rat looked up at a painting on the wall and smiled. "Master, you can rest easy now. The young lord's taste is perfectly normal." In the end, Iser gave in and started drying her hair with a towel. He then opened a drawer, pulled out a hairdryer, and plugged it in. Just as he was about to dry her hair, Final Calamity caught a glimpse of the hairdryer in the mirror. Its shape, too similar to a handgun, instantly triggered something. Memories of the man who once aimed a gun at her came flooding back. Her eyes widened in fear. She began to tremble. "Sit still. I'm just drying your hair," Iser said casually. But when he opened his eyes again, she was gone. He glanced around the room. "Huh? Where'd she go?" That's when he noticed a shadow behind the curtain. What the hell is she doing? He yanked the curtain aside. There she was, curled up in the corner, shivering. Iser froze. What did I do? She's terrified, but she didn't even flinch when facing those monsters. Wait a second, it's the hairdryer. Iser finally realized it was the shape of the dryer. It looked too much like a handgun. That must have triggered memories of the night she was hunted by the bullet gentleman. So she still retained fragments of her pre-experiment identity. "Tisish, what a troublesome subject," he muttered under his breath. Looking at Final Calamity, still trembling in the corner, he sighed again. "Hey, Final Calamity," he called softly. She slowly lifted her head, eyes cautious and unsure. Then Iser raised the hairdryer again. She instantly flinched and ducked her head back down, body shaking. But this time, Iser didn't approach. Instead, he simply turned the dryer on. The software of the machine filled the quiet room. The hum wasn't threatening, It was warm, calming. Curiosity got the better of her. She peeked out with one eye, cautiously watching the strange, whirring device. Iser lifted the hairdryer and pointed it at himself, letting the wind blast his face dramatically. Then, like a total goof, he started making silly faces and shaking his head around like he was in a shampoo commercial. Final Calamity stared at him, confused. But slowly, a smile began to form on her face. And before long, she burst into giggles, pure and genuine. Iser grinned and handed the dryer to her. She mimicked his actions and pressed the power button. The warm air blew her hair up in a flurry, and she squealed with surprise and delight. 20 minutes later, Iser was deadpan, eyes twitching. I should have just let her stay scared of the damn thing. Unable to take it anymore, he snatched the dryer back. I didn't spend over a year creating you just so you could stay up all night playing with a hairdryer. Final Calamity gave him a pleading look, silently begging for the hairdryer back. Don't even try the cute act. Not working on me. Iser growled and shoved the dryer back into the cabinet. Then he locked it tight with a key. Holding the key up like a prize, he warned her, if you behave, maybe you'll get to play with it again. But for now, get back to your room and go to sleep. Final Calamity let out a long, miserable Aya, like the world had just ended. A little later, Iser brought her back to his room. Now, where the hell should this troublemaker sleep? She's definitely not sleeping in my bed. That's sacred territory. No experiment is allowed on my bed. That's a hard boundary, period. Yet before he could even finish that thought, Final Calamity had already crawled under his blanket and tucked herself in. Iser's jaw dropped. Hey, who said you could get on my bed? Get off, you little menace. She just stared back at him, wide-eyed and completely innocent. Listen up. As an experiment subject, you're not allowed on the bed. You're sleeping on the floor tonight. No whining, no noise, got it? Finally, he could get some sleep. Before dozing off, Iser sneaked a glance at Final Calamity. She was curled up tightly on the floor, fast asleep like a poor little stray. Iser's face flushed a little. She doesn't look like she'll go berserk anytime soon. Whatever, I'm sleeping. But just as he got comfortable, he heard a noise from the side of the bed. He snapped, hey, I told you, stay still and sleep. No funny business. The soft sound stopped immediately, and Iser closed his eyes again. But not long after, another noise stirred him awake. Now he couldn't fall asleep at all. Frustrated, he sat up and shouted, seriously, what the hell do you? His voice trailed off. Final Calamity was hugging herself, trembling like a leaf. She was drenched in cold sweat, clearly on the verge of getting sick. Iser sighed. There was no way he could let her keep sleeping on the floor. He got up and went to Rat's room, only to find the guy snoring away, cuddling a magazine full of pinup girls. Izo flipped through the Rat's magazine with a look of pure disgust. Ugh, this rodent has no taste. He slapped the rat's face. Hey, Stingball, wake up. But the giant rat just scratched its cheek and kept snoring. Izo was getting annoyed. This idiot's snoozing like a baby while dumping all the mess on me. Suddenly, an evil grin crept across his face. He pulled out an back stink bug and held it right under the rat's nose. After putting on a gas mask himself, he got ready for the show. Splat! The stink bug exploded in his hand, releasing a cloud of pungent yellow gas. The next second, the rat was hugging a jar and puking its guts out. Gah! What the hell is that smell? It grabbed Izo by the collar. Are you out of your damn mind? Izo smirked like he deserved a punch. Well, maybe don't throw the ultimate calamity on me next time, genius. So your grand plan is gassing me in the middle of the night? Izo scratched his ear awkwardly. That? And I wanted to ask if you had any spare blankets. The rat's expression changed to a mischievous grin. Oh ho backslash, so it's for that calamity chick, huh? Always talking trash about her, but turns out puberty's hitting you right where it counts. Virgin boy backslash. Izo shot back, cut the crap. Tomorrow's the physical and combat tests. Before we gather her immunity data, I need her in top condition. No infections, no disruptions, got it? The rat rolled its eyes. Then why the hell are you asking me for a blanket? Don't you have like 6 sets? Just give her one. Absolutely not. Izo shook his head with conviction. Each one is scheduled with scientific precision. Monday and Sunday represent the cycle of beginning and end, so I use my Ouroboros blanket. It symbolizes infinite loops. Tuesday and Wednesday are reserved for alchemy deep dives, so I sleep with the blanket covered in alchemical sigils. It helps me flow better with the knowledge of the ancients. Thursday is for purifying the elixir of life, the Azoth. The purified Azoth turns purple, so I sleep with the pure violet blanket. Also, it was Mom's favorite color. And Friday? That's sacred. It's an Art of Crime airs, so of course I use the officially licensed Red Jack bedding set. Ritual is everything. Izo was just about to explain Saturday's plan when the rat cut him off. Let me guess. To motivate yourself into creating the ultimate bioweapon, you printed the prototype image of the final calamity right onto your Saturday blanket, didn't you? Exactly. Izo nodded proudly. So, I've got nothing extra to give her. The rat stared at him, completely deadpan. Dude, that girl is the final calamity. So if she sleeps under a blanket with her own face on it, makes perfect sense to me /. Izo froze. He had no comeback. He glared at the rat. Technically, she hasn't passed all the performance tests yet, so she doesn't deserve that title. The rat yawned. Call her whatever you want. I've only got one blanket and you're not getting it. Dream on. Izo scoffed. TCH. A rat needing a blanket, what a joke. Still, he found himself standing in front of his storage cabinet. With a long sigh of defeat, he pulled out the Saturday blanket. As Izo spread the blanket, he nagged non-stop. This is a benevolent loan from your great creator, me, so treat it with respect. No drooling, no wrinkling, and absolutely no rolling yourself into a blanket burrito. Got it. But the final calamity was already tucked in, fast asleep like a cozy little kitten. Izo lay in bed, mumbling to himself, just to be safe, maybe I should put a shock collar on her. Whatever brain shutting down, in the dead of night, her sleeping spot was empty. She stood silently by Izo's bed, blue eyes glowing faintly in the dark, watching him. 8 a.m. sharp. A crow perched outside let out a mechanical caw. Time to rise and shine. Greatest alchemist of the century. Izo opened his eyes with a groan, looking like a zombie. Ugh, I forgot to set the alarm. Damn that girl. I didn't even get my full 8 hours. Suddenly, Izo realized there was a hand resting softly on his chest, and warm, steady breaths tickled his ear. His face lit up red, a strange tingle running down his neck. It hit him. This warmth, could it be? He turned his head and saw the final calamity lying peacefully beside him. She was curled up against him, arms wrapped around his waist, sleeping like a baby. Izo stared at her in silence. This doesn't look like the world-ending bioweapon I built at all. Right in that hazy, ambiguous moment, BAM, the door swung open without a knock. Morning. Izo / sleep well. It was the rat. The rat looked around and instantly noticed she wasn't in his room. Wait, where's the girl? Where'd she go? Izo stiffened, panic rising. I don't know. The rat's face turned serious. You what? Are you insane? If she wandered into the high-risk specimen zone or the main lab, we're screwed. Pull up the surveillance, now. Izo's face darkened. You go check the surveillance room first. I'll be right behind you. The rat nodded. All right, heading there now. Just as it turned to leave, something caught its eye. The blanket on Izo's bed was moving. It spun back around. Hey, your blanket's twitching. Izo panicked, slamming his hand down on it. Why you seriously need to get your eyes checked? Blankets don't move. At that moment, the final calamity poked her head out from under the blanket, face red like a tomato from being smothered. She was drenched in sweat, gasping for fresh air. Izo let out a defeated sigh. She snuck into my bed last night. The rat gave him a wink. Come on, man. You and I are brothers. No need to be shy about it. You're a teenage virgin with needs. I get it. I'm not judging you. I'm proud of you. Our little alchemist finally growing you. PSHHHHH. Before it could finish, Izo blasted it with a can of something nasty. The rat collapsed, coughing and gagging on the floor. You psycho. That's triple concentrated stink bug gland extract. We made that to fight superheroes, not each other, Izo said coldly. I told you. She climbed on our own last night. Stop with the nonsense. Get your gear. We're starting the full diagnostic on the final calamity. The girl on the bed blinked in confusion, still half asleep and completely lost. In a specimen testing zone, basic physical metrics lab, the rat was adjusting the scanner. Hey, quit lifting your head. You move, and the data's useless. Height, 1.71 meters. The rat turned to Izo with a smirk. Well, she's 11 centimeters taller than you. Buddy backslash, if you ever want to kiss her, better start practicing on tiptoes. Izo exploded. Who the hell wants to kiss her? Idiot. I'm still growing, okay. Next up, body weight analysis. Result, 64 kilograms. Izo frowned. 64? That can't be right. Just the Angel of Cinder's left arm alone should weigh more than that. Not to mention the ultra-dense chrysalis blood we injected into her. Her real weight should be pushing 800 kilos. The rat, completely ignoring him, continued with a bust measurement, an absurdly perfect 36D. You moron, Izo shouted. Stop wasting time measuring useless crap. Next up, lung capacity test, the rat announced, holding up a strange-looking device. Watch and learn. First, take the deepest breath you can. Inhale, then blow into this tube as hard as you can. Izo puffed out his cheeks and blew with all his might, nearly turning purple. Finished, he handed her the mouthpiece. All right, your turn. The final calamity mimicked him and inhaled deeply. Izo nodded approvingly. Yes, just like that. Now exhale hard. But something was off. She just kept inhaling and inhaling. Her face turned red from holding it all in. Izo panicked. Wait, what are you doing? You're supposed to blow into the device, not. Before he could finish, she grabbed his face. Hey, what are you doing? Not my mouth, you idiot. Her flushed face leaned in close. Then, without warning, she kissed him. Izo's knees buckled from the shock, and he toppled over, crashing into the table with a loud thud. Just then, the rat burst in again. No knock, no warning. So, did she finish the lung test yet? Izo, still half smothered, desperately flailed. MMPH, rat. Help me. MMPH. The rat just blinked calmly. Honestly, this was starting to feel normal. The final calamity wiped the drool from her lips with a satisfied grin. Kiss test, complete. But then she turned to the machine, confused. Huh, why isn't it responding? I tried really hard to test it. Meanwhile, Izo was furiously rinsing his mouth out in the sink. The rat burst into uncontrollable laughter. Dude, you just got mouth attacked by your own lab experiment. You might be the first in the entire Persilad bloodline. Wahaha. So tell me, was her kiss soft and sweet, hub backslash? Izo snapped. You've been talking way too much lately, you damn rat. Seeing Izo don his gas mask again, the rat raised an eyebrow. Seriously? We ran over a dozen tests. She's completely pathogen-free. You don't need that biohazard cosplay. Enough nonsense. You're handling the rest of the tests. Fine backslash, I'll do it. Jeez, you're really just a clueless little virgin, huh? Sit and reach flexibility test, 8 centimeters, subject rating, D, within average human range. 50-meter sprint, 6.2 seconds. Lower body explosive power rated, D, within average human range. One-handed grip strength, 51 kilograms. Grip rating, D, again, standard human level. Izo stared at the results, frowning. Her stats, they're basically the same as any normal human. The rat scratched its shin. Maybe she's just not in combat mode yet. Besides, these are just basic metrics. What really matters are the attack pattern and strength tests, aggression tendency tests, and full resistance and durability evaluations. While the two of them were brainstorming how to trigger combat mode, the final calamity was curled up in the corner, happily gaming on a handheld console. Izo's expression darkened. Easy. Lock her in a room with the most bloodthirsty specimen we've got. The rats first stood on end. Wait, what? You're talking about using Specimen Zero for this? Are you insane? That thing is classified ultra-high risk for a reason. We're supposed to go step by step. Start small, with something harmless, like a level 0 threat, the prairie bunny. Izo raised an eyebrow. If we're talking weakest specimen, isn't that the lab mouse? No sooner had he said it than the mouse was snatched from his hand. The rat clutched the little mouse protectively. You idiot. I told you. No rodent-based testing. Izo smirked. Oh please, it's not the same species. That one's a lab mouse. You're a sewer rat, remember? After the rodent drama passed, Izo picked up a fluffy white rabbit. So you seriously think this harmless puffball can trigger her combat instinct? Just then, the bunny was yanked out of his hands again. The final calamity was now holding it like she was about to take a bite. The rat scoffed. And who just said low-threat creatures wouldn't trigger bloodlust? If she's this bloodthirsty over something that cute, I don't even want to imagine what she'd do in a crowded shopping mall. The carnage, the chaos. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But in reality, she was just cuddling the bunny, gently rubbing her cheek against its fur. Not even a nibble in sight. Izo's dark fantasies? Completely off base. The rat and Izo looked on in horror as the final calamity snuggled the bunny. Is this our ultimate weapon? Where the hell's the carnage? The menace? The oomph? Without a word, Izo pulled out a syringe filled with glowing red liquid. He calmly injected it into the bunny's neck. The rat squinted suspiciously. What the heck did you just put in that rabbit? Izo grinned wickedly. Just a little something I call Berserk Evolution V6. Mutation rate, boosted by 2,900%. Before he even finished the sentence, the rabbit's eyes snapped open, bright red and burning. The final calamity blinked in confusion as her adorable cuddle buddy started twitching violently. Within seconds, the bunny exploded in size, its fur tearing, limbs mutating. It transformed into a monstrous crimson beast. She stared at it, baffled, as the creature loomed over her. Her once adorable rabbit had become a towering rabbit warrior, ripped, massive, and dripping with menace. Izo grinned proudly. If we want to trigger her battle instincts, the opponent needs to be at least this dangerous. Let's give a code name. Ultra Rage Bunny, Mark 1. The hulking rabbit pounded its chest like a gorilla, flexing its absurd muscles. Izo shouted excitedly, Fight! 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 The rat sighed, watching his partner with pity. This alchemy nerd has zero sense of romance or restraint. Suddenly, the mega bunny launched a brutal punch straight at the final calamity. The ground erupted on impact, a shockwave blasting a crater into the lab floor. Izo and the rat panicked. Wait, did it just kill her? As the dust settled, all they saw was a massive pit. No sign of the girl. The rabbit stared at its own fist, baffled. Did I vaporize her? And something started moving across its back. Out popped the final calamity, smiling cheerfully like she was playing hide and seek. The giant rabbit shrieked and collapsed flat on its back in fear. She happily clung to the fuzzy beast, nuzzling into its fur like it was the best plushie in the world. Izo dropped to his knees and screamed in despair. The rat covered its face. She really doesn't have a single violent bone in her body. The group headed toward the ultra-high-risk containment zone with the final calamity in tow. On the way, the rat whispered nervously, Izo, look, I get it. Her combat instincts are underwhelming. But couldn't we train her gradually? If you throw her in against Specimen Zero and she dies, then what? Izo's tone was ice cold. Then she's a failure. And failures only serve one purpose: making the next experiment more successful. Soon, they arrived at a massive titanium door. Bold red letters were etched into the front. Specimen Zero Containment Chamber, Ultra High Risk. Both Izo and the rat hurried to strap on their gas masks. The rat still looked pale. Seriously, Izo, it's not too late to back out. We've invested every top-tier graft and serum into this girl. If anything goes wrong, we lose everything. And you know Zero's personality. If she attacks, she'll go for the kill. Aizo's eyes narrowed. That's exactly what I want. She needs to feel death breathing down her neck. Only then will she evolve into the true final calamity. We've failed too many times, Aizo muttered, his voice trembling with rage and exhaustion. I'm done losing. Just then, a small hand gently rested on his head. He froze. The final calamity was standing in front of him. Aizo silently pushed her hand away. Test subjects don't get to pity their creator, he said coldly. Moments later, they arrived at a colossal prison cell, the one that held Specimen Zero, the plague-born demon, Lucille. Fully armored, Aizo stood before the reinforced gate, staring into the darkness beyond. In a low voice, he spoke. I've come to see you. From within the shadows, a girl's voice echoed, gleeful and chilling. Little Master / It's been 1,322 days. You finally couldn't resist seeing me again, / Zero. I'm here to tell you something. I've already created the final calamity. You're no longer my strongest experiment. Lucille froze, stunned by what she had just heard. Then her eyes flared with rage. No way. No way. I'm your strongest creation. I am Lucille. Seeing she wouldn't accept the truth, Aizo calmly said, Rat, bring in the final calamity. But before the rat could react, the final calamity rushed in on her own, clinging to Aizo tightly. Lucille snapped. You blonde tramp. Get your filthy hands off of him. Startled, the final calamity hid behind Aizo, trembling. Aizo gently patted her head and looked Lucille dead in the eyes. There, that's her. Final calamity. The ultimate weapon I created. If you want the title of strongest experiment back, then beat her. Prove it to me. Lucille trembled with jealousy, biting her lip so hard it started to bleed. Then she smirked and made her demand. If I win, you stay here with me. All day. Aizo didn't even hesitate. Deal. But Lucille wasn't done. I also get to cuddle him in bed tonight, she demanded, only to be flat out rejected by the very flustered virgin alchemist. She licked her lips with a wicked grin. Don't worry, little master. I'm gonna break your shiny new toy piece by piece / you belong to me and no one else. Aizo turned away coldly. Then you'd better give it everything you've got. He looked to the final calamity, voice grim. Listen carefully. If you don't fight this time, you will die. And if Lucille kills you, it just proves your failure. I won't step in. I won't save you. The final calamity looked at him, wide-eyed and confused. She didn't understand what he meant. Without another word, Aizo sealed the heavy door shut, leaving her alone inside. Panic set in. She banged on the door with all her strength, desperately trying to get back to him. Being near Aizo was the only place she ever felt safe. And just outside that door, Aizo quietly strapped on his gas mask, his face unreadable. He muttered to himself, emotionless. That's more like it. As the last heir of the Persilab bloodline, the leader of the Purity Research Order, and the infamous evil alchemist Baron, this is exactly how I should treat a test subject. With that, he made his way to the ultra-high-risk Specimen Zero surveillance room. The rat grinned as he entered. So, did you give the little calamity girl a nice goodbye hug? Aizo plopped into his chair, annoyed. Cut the nonsense. Initiate the test. Release Lucille. The rat flicked a switch, mumbling whatever you say, but if she ends up dead, don't come crying to me. The steel chamber containing Lucille began to rise with a loud mechanical hum. Lucille stretched her limbs like a cat and smiled. Finally, I get to stretch my leg a little / She looked right into the security camera and giggled. Get ready to enjoy my dazzling little slaughter show, Master / In the control room, Aizo sat in silence, eyes locked on the monitor. Despite his cold expression, worry gnawed at him. Not even his favorite chips, offered by the rat, could tempt him. Aizo silently swatted the chips away with a cold flick of his hand. The rat clutched the bag, offended. Hey, you used to love the cheddar-flavored ones. Why so tense, huh? Relax. Lucille's wearing an alchemy matrix restraint collar. If she tries to kill the calamity girl, the collar will suppress the plague virus in her body instantly. So, How about a little wager? I'm betting on Lucille. Winner gets control of the TV remote for all next week. Izo replied firmly, I'm betting on the final calamity. Because if she doesn't win, she dies. Meanwhile, inside the containment cell, Lucille slowly approached the final calamity, who was still frantically pounding on the door. She smirked. Don't waste your energy. That door's not opening. Huh? What's her deal? No bloodlust, no killing intent at all. Suddenly, Lucille's aura flared violently. Whatever. Once I take you out, little master will be mine. She launched forward with a vicious grin. You worthless excuse for a final calamity. Become my nourishment. But before Lucille's punch could land, a small hand reached out and firmly grabbed her wrist. Lucille froze. What? How the hell did she turn and catch me so fast? In the control room, the rat and Izo both gasped. Wait, is this it? Did she sense a lethal threat and finally trigger her combat state? The two high-fived, eyes wide with hope. She's finally awakening. The final calamity is rising. But instead of an epic battle, the girl just held Lucille's hand and gently tugged her toward the door. She pointed at the massive exit, giving Lucille a pleading look, as if asking her to open it. The rat stared at the monitor, completely dumbfounded. Wait, no way. Did she grab Lucille's hand just to ask her to open the door? Izo looked like he got hit by a truck. No. She can't actually be that stupid, right? Lucille was fuming, her voice trembling with rage. Are you asking me to help you escape? This is an insult to my entire existence. The final calamity beamed and nodded. Yes, I want to go find little master backslash. Lucille clutched her face, her chest heaving in rage. This girl's dumb innocence was making her physically explode. Then she burst into maniacal laughter, eyes wide with madness. She pointed at the surveillance camera and screamed, Hey, little master, this is your ultimate bioweapon? A brainless ditz? In the next instant, she grabbed the girl's hand with a sweet smile. Here, let Big Sis show you exactly how to leave this room backslash. Then she calmly released her internal toxins. Step 1. Let my plague virus melt you down into a nice little pile of brittle bones. Step 2. Straight into the non-recyclable waste bin backslash. Instantly, the final calamity's body was flooded with venom, black and violet tendrils racing across her skin. Lucille smirked, oozing arrogance. Oh no, backslash looks like the final calamity just got poisoned backslash. She leaned in, eyes cold. Listen up, sweetheart. There's only one ultimate bioweapon in Little Master's arsenal, and it's me. Specimen 0, the plague-born demon. Lucille. Back in the control room, warning alarms suddenly began to beep from the monitoring console. The rat's eyes widened. Oh crap. The plague virus is breaching through her epithelial cells. It's infecting her flesh, organs, everything. Izo stared at the screen, stunned. That's impossible. The red cells in the despair cocoon blood were designed to annihilate any foreign pathogen, including Lucille's virus. Meanwhile, the final calamity lay twitching on the floor, barely clinging to life. TCH backslash already dying? That's so boring. Lucille muttered with a twisted grin. The rat slammed the table. End the test. Izo, she's not going to make it. But Izo remained calm. Relax. Look at the data. The virus has only infected 30% of her red blood cells, 42% of her organ tissue, and 38% of her nervous system. She's nowhere near fatal threshold. Only death can ignite the cocoon blood of despair inside her. That's the catalyst. The only way she'll evolve into the true final calamity. Izo's eyes gleamed. As my one and only assistant, hold your damn nerve. Meanwhile, Lucille slammed her foot down onto the final calamity's head with a triumphant smirk. Little master backslash, this pathetic thing is your so-called ultimate bioweapon? So weak. I haven't even had my fun yet backslash. The final calamity let out a low, pained groan, her body twitching under the weight of the poison. Lucille, now cloaked in a cloud of viral toxins, mocked her. What's wrong, princess? Didn't you have plenty to say earlier? Begging me to open the door for you. Where's that attitude now? The rat screamed, panicked. Hey, the virus has overtaken over 70% of her body cells. You still won't shut this down. Izo remained composed. Stay calm. The heart eternal is a synthetic core. It's immune to the virus. And look, the plague hasn't touched her neural system yet. So little master doesn't actually care about you after all. Lucille chuckled darkly. Guess I misunderstood. Oh well, time for a proper pre-meal ceremony. She lifted the weakened final calamity into her arms, pumping her body full of even more concentrated toxins. Lucille licked the girl's cheeks slowly, eyes half-lidded with pleasure. Trashed here, bioweapon. But surprisingly tasty. I think I'll start feasting now. In the blink of an eye, Lucille transformed into a monstrous scorpion, her venomous fangs plunging straight into the girl's shoulder. The rat completely lost it. The virus has infected 90% of her cells. We can't wait any longer. I'm activating the alchemy matrix collar now. Just as it reached for the emergency switch, Izo grabbed its hand, stopping it cold. The rat turned to him, eyes wide. Are you insane? If we don't stop her now, she's dead. Izo's expression didn't waver. Not yet, just a little longer. The rat screamed. Little longer my ass. She's not ready. We can't just sit here and watch her get eaten alive. Izo still refused to let go. Even his anxiety tore at him from the inside. Don't give me that, you filthy rat. You just like her because she's cute. You didn't hesitate for any of the previous test subjects. Remember why we're doing this. To make the world kneel before House Persilat. The final calamity. Lucille, they're just tools to get us there. The monitoring board lit up in crimson. Every warning light flashing red. All vitals nearing critical failure. Then, amid the chaos, a voice rang out. Soft, faint, but undeniable. Mas, dear. The rat nearly fell out of his chair. Holy crap, she spoke. When the hell did the calamity girl learn to talk? Even Izo froze. That one word, master, hit him like a sledgehammer. His mind flashed back to the night before. It was her XDH time trying to sneak into his bed, and like always, he kicked her off coldly. No means no. Test subjects don't get bed privileges. But then those big, watery, heart-melting eyes stared up at him. He caved grudgingly. Fine, but only if you call me master. Then you get 30 minutes on the bed. No more. Her vocal cords were deliberately destroyed long ago. But I had her soaking in Azoth regeneration fluid. Every injury she ever had healed. So if she can't speak now, there's only one reason. She's been mute for so long she's forgotten how to talk. That night, Izo patiently tried to teach her. Come on, say it with me. Master. No matter how many times he tried, she just couldn't do it. Her cheeks turned bright red from frustration. Mouth wide open, heart desperate, but still the word wouldn't come out. Izo let out a sigh and shook his head. You really are hopelessly dumb. In the end, he gave up and went to bed alone, leaving her disappointed and ashamed. But even lying on the cold floor, she kept trying. Over and over, lips trembling, she whispered, Master. Eventually, she fell asleep, still mumbling the word, even in her dreams. Master. Back in the present, Lucille ran a finger down her cheek, sneering. So you can talk. How adorable. But guess what? Even if you scream master, little Izo doesn't need trash like you. Just as Lucille was about to deliver the killing blow, her collar lit up in crimson, locking her body in place with a sudden jolt. She collapsed to her knees, limbs trembling and unresponsive. Clutching at her neck, she hissed in pain. T-Sich, heat surge alchemical matrix activated. She screamed toward the camera, rage blazing. Izo, why would you do this to me? In the control room, Izo stood calmly with one hand pressed against the glowing emergency override button. He didn't say a word. After a moment, he cleared his throat. Rat, you might have had a point. All those grafts and implants we used are worth a fortune. Would be a shame if Lucille ate them. The rat grinned. Right. No one would ever assume you panicked just because the Calamity Girl called you master. You're the most evil villain in all of Gordon City, after all. Izo turned, coat swaying, voice cold. Of course I am. Now if you'll excuse me, I'll go retrieve that useless idiot. The big rat asked, Need my help? Iso replied coolly, No. He soon arrived in front of the final calamity. She trembled violently, her voice barely a whisper. Master, you came to save me? Iso's face remained cold. Don't call me that. You don't deserve it. Without another word, he gently picked her up, but she was still shaking, clinging to the word. Master. He cut her off, irritated. Shut up. You're going straight back to confinement. Then muttered under his breath. Seriously though, why is she so damn heavy? Meanwhile, Lucille was seething with rage. Why? You never stopped a single test you arranged for me. Even when I almost killed a rare specimen. You didn't blink. So why are you backing out now, just for her? Lucille snarled. In every way, combat power, body, even how much she loves little Iso, she's nothing compared to me. Iso replied calmly. You're overthinking it. I stopped the test because she has several crucial implanted organs. If you devour her, the final Calamity project becomes unrecoverable. Hearing that, Lucille's heartbroken face instantly twisted into something sinister. Oh, well, if that's the reason, then never mind. Still, making me waste time on a combat test just because you can't let go of that little Calamity girl, pathetic. Suddenly, her body temperature spiked, surging past the containment safety threshold. Meanwhile, the big rat heard the alarm blare and shouted, ISO, get out of containment room 0 now. ISO frowned. Why are you yelling like that? Trying to blow out my eardrums. The rat was in full panic. No, seriously. Lucille's alchemical failsafe collar is malfunctioning. Her temperature is skyrocketing. ISO turned around sharply, only to find Lucille had somehow crept up right behind him without a sound. She smiled triumphantly. The failsafe collar isn't broken. Little ISO, as the greatest alchemist alive, you should know, viruses evolve with their environment. During those 1,000+ days in this containment room, I deliberately kept triggering the collar's cryoalchemical matrix. And last week, the last of my frost-intolerant Darkwing cells finally died off. I've completed my evolution. I'm now fully immune to extreme cold. ISO fell silent for a few seconds, then slowly spoke. Lucille, you win. I'll uphold my promise. He forced himself to remain calm, but inside his thoughts raced. The only suppression method is gone. I can't afford to provoke her now. But Lucille slowly shook her head. Spending just one day with me? That's not nearly enough. She stepped closer to ISO. Then, with a casual motion, she removed his protective mask. A smug smile spread across her face, as if she were admiring a lamb ready for slaughter. The moment her fingers touched him unprotected, the Darkwing virus surged into ISO's cells in full force. His strength drained almost instantly, leaving him barely able to stand. Lucille whispered with delight, Little Iso, I've finally entered your body. I can feel every single one of your cells pulsing inside me. Back at the monitoring station, the big rat's eyes widened in horror. ISO, the virus, it's already inside you. Lucille turned to the camera and smiled sweetly. Relax, little rat. Every strain I injected is dormant and completely under my control. I'd never hurt my dear Ice, never. Suddenly, Lucille's expression shifted. She sniffed the air sharply. Wait a second, is that final calamity's salivary amylase? Her dark plague virus had picked up residual traces of final calamity's saliva deep inside ISO's body. Lucille's fury erupted. Why the hell are there traces of that worthless brat's saliva on ISO's lip cells? You filthy wretch. Did you kiss my little ISO? Watching from the control room, the big rat could only sigh in despair. As a dark plague hybrid, Lucille was a viral organism in humanoid form, with the terrifying ability to identify biosignatures at the cellular level. This This was the worst-case scenario that we're screwed, totally screwed. Consumed by rage, Lucille snapped. She unleashed the Dark Plague virus throughout Final Calamity's body, infecting every single cell with corrosive force. You little whore. Unforgivable. I'll make you suffer in ways death could never offer. The virus overwhelmed her quickly. Final Calamity's body twisted in agony as unimaginable pain racked her system. ISO watched helplessly, his heart torn in two. Yet in that moment, he could do nothing. As a full viral assimilate, Lucille was immune to all organic and inorganic compounds. Even dragon spider venom and the corrosive acids from the slime makers couldn't touch her. And now, she had overcome her final weakness, the extreme cold from the alchemical failsafe collar. The only remaining solution, the void matter capable of annihilating all life, was still in early testing. Using it now would likely obliterate the entire base. Watching Final Calamity suffer under Lucille's rampage, ISO clutched his head in frustration. Damn it, is there really nothing that can stop her? Just then, the big rat's voice cut in. There is someone who can suppress her. ISO turned to it, doubtful. Who? You, the rat blurted. Lucille's obsession with you has gone completely off the rails. ISO paused, a strange thought forming. That ridiculous rat might actually have a point. Meanwhile, Lucille had successfully infected 99% of Final Calamity's body, but then she noticed something strange. Her virus couldn't touch the girl's cardiac and neural cells. Still, she merely sneered. Doesn't matter. I'll just take everything except your heart and brain. Just as Lucille basked in her triumph, ISO suddenly shouted, Lucille, that's enough. I'll say this one last time. She stared at him in disbelief. You're seriously threatening me for that idiot? ISO's voice turned ice cold. I told you, she doesn't matter. But her body is the single most valuable experimental asset of House Pershalat. The most important. Period. Without it, I can't conquer the world or restore the glory of my family. And if I can't do that, then what's the point of living? The big rat watched with fascination, muttering to itself, not bad. ISO's acting skills have really leveled up. To everyone's surprise, Lucille hesitated, then relented. Fine, I get it. ISO blinked, both shocked and suspicious. Wait, she gave in that easily? A subtle smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. Looks like I found a new way to control her, as humiliating as it is. But just as ISO began to feel a sliver of victory, Lucille suddenly snapped again. Little ISO, once I finish digesting her, I'll help you rebuild your family and conquer the world. ISO froze, expression blank. Yeah, she's still not listening at all. Lucille grinned wickedly, turning back to Final Calamity. You'll make such wonderful nourishment for my dark plague. At that moment, ISO's face darkened, as if coming to a painful decision. Looks like I have no choice. Time to use my last resort. The big rat's ears perked up. Wait, you have a last resort. Use it. Now. ISO groaned, clearly reluctant. It's just, this trump card is incredibly embarrassing. Suddenly, he yelled out, Lucille, if you stop right now, I'll hold you every night while we sleep together. The words hit like a lightning strike. Lucille froze, visibly shocked, then actually stopped what she was doing. With a flash, she zipped into ISO's arms, eyes gleaming with joy. Little ISO, what you just said, is it true? Eyes closed, ISO muttered, it's true. Everything you heard, it's all real. Lucille wrapped her arms around ISO, trembling with joy. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Little ISO finally belongs to me. And me alone. Staring at her love-struck grin, ISO sighed. So, do we have a deal or not? Lucille smirked. Little ISO, I'll let that trash live, but only if you agree to 2 extra conditions. ISO's tone turned serious. Name them. First, she said, raising her chin proudly, I want to switch places with that pathetic girl. She stays locked in this containment cell forever, and I get to leave to live with you. ISO clenched his jaw, thoughts racing. Her sense of vengeance is as twisted as ever. But for now, I'll have to play along. I'll find another way to control her, then rescue Final Calamity, fine. I accept. What's the second condition? The second one? Lucille gave a sinister little smile. She then walked over to Final Calamity's limp form, leaned down, and sneered, "Hey, trashy slut, wake up!" Without warning, Lucille pulled ISO into a tight embrace, shooting a smug glance at Final Calamity. "Watch closely, you worthless slut." ISO struggled and snapped. "Lucille, that's going too far." But Lucille ignored him. Tilting his chin up, she smirked. "Humph. She stole your first kiss. This is me being nice." ISO protested. Lucille, she didn't even understand what a kiss meant. But before he could finish, Lucille pressed her lips to his in a forceful kiss. The sight jolted Final Calamity awake instantly. A sharp pain stabbed through her chest. Why does this hurt so much? Lucille hadn't noticed she'd woken up. Instead, she deepened the kiss, her passion intensifying. Then, she went even further, her actions turning bold, shameless. ISO's face turned crimson, ears burning with embarrassment. Infected and weakened, he couldn't push her away. He was completely at her mercy. Watching from the sidelines, the big rat let out a conflicted sigh. As a friend, I'm happy for him. But as his lab assistant, I'm deeply concerned. So, should I be celebrating or grieving right now? After 2.5 minutes of testing, Lucille finally pulled away, completely satisfied. Lucille licked her lips with smug satisfaction. She gazed at ISO with overflowing affection. "Little ISO, you taste just as delicious as I remember. Still using that lavender violet toothpaste, huh?" ISO, now free from her grasp, immediately grabbed a disinfectant spray and furiously doused his mouth. But Lucille giggled. "Oh, sweetie, that won't help. My cells have already taken root in your body, permanently." Final Calamity, watching him suffer in silence, clenched her fists. Her mechanical heart began to pound violently. She didn't understand why, only that her chest ached terribly. "It hurts. Why does it hurt so much?" At that moment, something stirred within her. Her immune system began targeting the dark plague virus. In just 2.5 seconds, her body had purged every trace of infection. Lucille finally sensed something was wrong. Her eyes shot toward Final Calamity. The girl stood tall, completely healed, wreathed in flames erupting from her body. Lucille's expression twisted in disbelief. "No, no way." Before she could say more, Final Calamity's hand clamped around her throat. With cold, unflinching strength, she lifted Lucille off the ground, completely overpowering her. Final Calamity's left arm suddenly morphed, glowing with a fierce violet-red hue, covered in searing, arcane runes. The big rat and ISO both gasped in shock. "That's the left arm of the Emberfall Angel." Final Calamity looked down at Lucille with icy disdain. "I hate you." With a deafening boom, flames exploded across Lucille's body, engulfing her in an inferno. Smash cut to the filming lot of White Queen Studios. A movie shoot was underway for their latest project, Feather Hunt Chronicles. After a flawless stunt sequence, the director shouted, "Cut! Perfect!" The White Queen, ranked number 2 among the city's heroes, was not only the lead actress, but also the CEO of White Queen Entertainment. During a break, her assistant rushed over with urgent news. Their corporate bank had just been hit. Her eyes widened. "What did you just say? Is that true?" The assistant nodded. "Absolutely. 2 culprits, a human and a rodent-type demi-human. It was a 2-person job. They planted a timed gas device in the bank's ventilation system," the assistant explained. "Knocked everyone out before the heist even began. This here is the actual device." The White Queen took the strange contraption and examined it silently. When her eyes landed on a specific symbol, her expression froze. "It's him," the assistant continued. Also, during the chase, the Lighthouse District's Patrol Bureau Chief, known as Bullet Gentleman Hormerk, was struck by some unknown bioweapon. He turned into a disgusting slime creature. The entire district's in chaos now. They're begging the central office for help. The White Queen's gaze turned icy. Tell those useless patrol idiots. This isn't their case anymore. Right. Well, the Lighthouse District is under your hero jurisdiction. She rose to her feet, tone sharp as steel. This has nothing to do with jurisdiction. Those two criminals might hold the key to a question I've been chasing for years. Mobilize everyone in the company. Spare no resources, track them down. Put the production on hold. I have more urgent matters to attend to. And during the pause, make sure the entire crew still gets paid in full. The scene shifted back to when the original body of Final Calamity was just a little girl. Who said you could mop the floor and play with toys? A woman snatched the toy from her hands and slammed it onto the floor, always clinging to that filthy trinket that dead wench gave you. Disgusting. And Jimon, I'm sorry. Please don't step on it, no please. But the woman didn't care. She slapped the girl hard across the face. Her father rushed over, lifting her up. Jimon, it was just a bit of spilled water. You didn't have to hit her like that. Oh, now you're playing the doting father. Jimon sneered. Don't forget, Meyer. It was me who dragged you out of that starving back alley troupe and turned you into the kingdom's top playwright. Faced with her aggression, Meyer lowered his head and fell silent. Suddenly, a stranger appeared behind Jimon. This the house that volunteered a child soldier. Jimon smirked. That's right. Talking about this little brat right here. Meyer stepped forward. Jimon, who is this man? Why did he barge into our home without even knocking? The man scoffed. Knock? Huh. There's no door in this kingdom the hounds of the underrealm need permission to enter. Not even the king's bedchamber. Meyer's face went pale. You're with the underrealm hounds? He turned to Jimon, eyes wide. What the hell are you doing? Jimon replied with a chilling grin. Why? I'm giving that little mutt born from a whore the future she deserves. Jimon sneered. I heard the underrealm hounds only recruit children, so I kindly asked Daddy Dears to send in a request to their commander. The man crouched down, staring at the little girl. This one, yep, that's her. Don't be fooled by her size. She's got strength, and she's tough. I starved her for 3 days once. She was still talking. Sounds like hound material to me. The man's gaze sharpened. Fierce eyes. I like it. We'll take her. Papa. No, I don't want to go. Please. Wah. At that moment, Final Calamity jolted awake in bed, gasping for breath. It had all been a memory, a buried fragment from her original self's childhood, surfacing in a dream. At her bedside sat a small, worn teddy bear, her most treasured companion. Meanwhile, back in the lab, ISO and the big rat were busy with diagnostics. The rat glanced over and asked, Hey ISO, you just came from the bedroom. Has that little Calamity girl woken up yet? She's been out cold for 3 days since she blasted Lucille with that Emberfall angel left hand. Not long after, ISO noticed Final Calamity was awake, quietly sitting on the couch. She stared at him with a blank, adorable expression, her head tilted slightly as ISO circled around her, deep in thought. After exactly 2.5 minutes of pacing, ISO suddenly snapped his fingers and shouted, I've got it. Big rat. The big rat flinched. Dude, keep it down. I'm watching the post-match interview for Miss Golden City. ISO ignored him and turned to Final Calamity, eyes gleaming. Your experiment code name is still Final Calamity, but your personal designation will be Core. He then turned dramatically to the big rat. Hey, aren't you even a little curious why I picked the name Core? The rat replied flatly, Wow, why Core? So curious. Please tell me. Nope, ISO said smugly. Not telling. The rat grumbled. So she's officially the second extreme risk specimen now, after the record seer? ISO nodded. Exactly. Final Calamity Core. Extreme risk specimen number 1. She's got a major upside, calm temperament. But her downside's just as clear. Her power's unstable, and she completely lacks offensive instinct. We'll need to run a full diagnostic and figure out what triggered her use of the Emberfall Angel's left hand. ISO continued his analysis. The first time she used the Emberfall Angel's left-hand ability was inside the high-risk containment observation zone. I reviewed the surveillance footage from that night. Looks like she simply didn't want to sleep alone in there. The big rat cut in. Translation: she wanted to sleep next to you. ISO rolled his eyes. Shut it. Her second time using the power was 3 days ago, during the fight with Lucille. I think she saw me bowing my head and spraying disinfectant like crazy, and assumed Lucille had hurt me, triggering a surge of protective aggression. That moment, her boiling cocoon of despair, fetal blood completely purged the dark plague virus. Then she launched her finishing move, the superheated pressure death cannon. The big rat blinked. Wait, superheated pressure death cannon? What kind of absurd anime move is that? ISO grinned proudly. It's the name I gave to her Emberfall left arm finisher. Sounds cool, right? The rat scoffed. Sounds ridiculous. But the temperature difference between the two uses is huge. The second time, the release hit near solar flare level heat. Even the heat-resistant dark plague virus got completely vaporized in an instant. The big rat rubbed his chin thoughtfully. You know, if Lucille's fail-safe collar hadn't activated its cryoalchemical matrix right then, absorbing some of that heat, she'd be toast. Literally. Poor Lucille got knocked into a coma by the little calamity girl. While ISO and the rat continued their discussion, a sudden gurgle echoed through the room. ISO blinked and turned around. Final Calamity sat there, eyes wide and innocent. Master, I'm hungry. The big rat raised an eyebrow. Wait, don't tell me you've never fed her since you created her. ISO scratched his head. I never thought something like Final Calamity would need to replenish energy through something as primitive as eating. No matter. I'll get her the most nutrient-packed, energy-dense food possible. A few minutes later, the big rat stared at the plate and scoffed. This is what you're giving her. ISO, full of pride, beamed. That's right. Absolute peak performance cuisine. ISO brought Final Calamity to the containment chamber of the infamous high-risk specimen number 8, Zevadrake the Wrath Scale. The big rat immediately lost it. Are you insane? ISO snapped back. No, you're insane. Your whole rat family's insane. Their yelling echoed through the chamber, waking up the sleeping dragon. Damn you, ISO, and that loudmouth big sis rat. Zevadrake suddenly paused mid-sentence and corrected himself. Ahem. I mean, my most noble creator, the esteemed alchemist, Baron ISO. Have you come to release me from my repentance suit? ISO nodded. Indeed. And more than that. You're about to earn a golden opportunity to redeem yourself. Zevadrake's eyes lit up. Really? What kind of opportunity? ISO's voice turned cold. You get to be Final Calamity's lunch. Zevadrake froze. Literally. Statuesque panic. The big rat panicked. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's our only true dragon specimen. Feeding him to Calamity feels like a massive waste. ISO replied matter-of-factly, which is exactly why it's optimal. Devouring a true dragon is the most efficient energy source she can absorb, and it might even trigger her second stage evolution into a final form. He pointed forward dramatically. Go, Final Calamity Core, consume high-risk specimen number 8, Zevadrake the Wrath Scale. Final Calamity climbed atop Zevadrake's head with innocent determination. The dragon wailed in terror, tears streaming. I swear I'll behave from now on. Please, Baron ISO, don't let the scary girl eat me. ISO scoffed. Too late for that. Core opened her mouth wide. A loud crunch echoed through the chamber as she bit down. But after 2.5 minutes of fierce gnawing, she suddenly burst into tears. ISO facepalmed. Ugh, useless. With no other choice, he boiled some water and made instant noodles. Carrying the cup over, he presented it to Core. This is called ramen. 3 minutes later, he peeled off the lid. A wave of fragrant steam rolled out, the sight and smell instantly mesmerizing Core. ISO handed her the chopsticks, like presenting a sacred artifact. To ISO's surprise, Core simply grabbed the ramen with her hands and started eating. He panicked. Hey, dumb girl, don't use your hands. It's hot. Use the chopsticks. The big rat blinked. Wait, does she not know how to use chopsticks? Or is she just that desperate? Despite the chaos, Core devoured the noodles with shocking speed. Her face lit up with joy, and tears began to stream down her cheeks. So good. ISO raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Crying over instant noodles? That's embarrassing. The big rat sighed. She probably never had real food before, huh? Reminds me of you back when you were just a half-wild sewer rat. First time you snuck into my room and found milk, you nearly burst your belly. Couldn't even crawl away. Almost blasted you with a gun. The rat turned bright red. Shut it. You were a whiny little gremlin begging for breast milk at 3 years old. You don't get to mock me. ISO barked back. Nonsense. I quit breast milk at 6 months. My mom forced it on me with a creepy laughing music box. How dare you slander the great Baron ISO? The rat fired back. Slander? You're the one dragging up old dirt. Stealing cheese is part of a rat's nature. It's not an insult, it's a lifestyle. While the two continued bickering, Core had already finished her entire bowl of ramen. ISO groaned. Seriously? You got it all over your face. Do you eat with your cheeks? But just as he wiped her mouth clean, her stomach let out another loud gurgle. ISO still hadn't realized how dire the situation was. Not until she devoured dozens of ramen cups and still looked unsatisfied. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she leaned toward him, hands outstretched. More. More. ISO rubbed his forehead. Fine, give her one more. The big rat deadpan, that was the last one. Our entire ramen stockpile's gone. An hour later, ISO finally snapped. Don't come any closer. He clutched his prized chocolate wafer bar tightly. This is my last real choco wafer. Have mercy. You weren't even like this with ramen. What is it with you and chocolate? But Core simply stared at him, drooling slightly. So good, one more. ISO gritted his teeth. Damn it. If that's how it is, then I'll eat it first. I'm not giving it up without a fight. But to ISO's horror, just as he stuffed the chocolate wafer into his mouth, before he could even chew, Core tackled him to the ground. Then, without hesitation, she kissed him and promptly stole every crumb of food straight from his mouth. ISO flailed in disbelief. She's completely insane. She's even robbing food from inside my mouth. It wasn't until he was nearly out of breath that Core finally pulled back, licking the corner of her lips in satisfaction. The big rat's ears twitched. Wait a sec. Did ISO's defense just collapse completely? Damn it. She shouldn't be able to find this place. Even if she does, I'll die before I let her into my secret stash. Took me half my damn life to build that bunker. Unfortunately, the rat had severely underestimated Core's hunger-driven instincts. In just 2.5 seconds, she locked on to the stash's exact location. And then, she activated her Emberfall Angel left arm, melting through the thick steel vault door like butter. The big rat stood frozen in horror. What the hell is going on? Moments later, a massive hole had been burned through the wall of his precious secret stash vault. Oh no, she's coming for the bunker. Stealing ISO's snacks was one thing, but these cheeses are priceless collector's items. I'm warning you, don't even think about it. But before he could finish, Core appeared right in front of him. With a single glance, her heat aura melted his weapon into a puddle. Even his paw was scorched. He yelped in pain. She's awakening again, for food. We're doomed. Doomed. In the next second, Core snatched the cheeses straight from his hands and began munching happily like a child in a candy store. In just 2.5 minutes, she had devoured every last crumb of his legendary cheese collection. The big rat collapsed to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Not a single piece left. This isn't final calamity. She's the final gluttony. Meanwhile, deep inside the maximum security containment cell. Hey, you okay? I heard was gonna feed you to that crazy girl. Huh? Eat me? Clearly, they underestimated the durability of a true dragon's physique. Listen up. My horns are the hardest, most glorious, most majestic things on my body. Thick, unbreakable, and exuding raw alpha energy. I've made thousands of little she-dragons swoon with these bad boys. Back at the lab, ISO had officially confirmed through experimentation. Final Calamity was completely weak to high-calorie sweets, especially chocolate. These foods massively triggered her appetite. Until her calorie quota was met, she'd devour anything in sight, and wouldn't hesitate to use her superheated pressure death cannon to get it. ISO glanced over. "Hey, why are you so quiet?" The big rat stood there, trembling with rage. 400 pieces. That was 400 blocks of Windfang Bonehorn's signature artisanal whole milk cheese. 10 of them were autographed limited editions. Production dates ranged from new calendar year 872 to 1012. Nearly a century and a half of aged flavor, all gone. The big rat was losing his mind. That monstrosity of an experiment deserves torture. I'll slice her into 1,200 pieces with my Rat Crusher Deluxe. ISO patted his back. "But she's a cute girl." "Fine. I'll rinse her eyes with alchemical royal acid mixed with King Slime's digestive fluid." ISO replied calmly, "Still a cute girl. What if I used Bonero mosquitoes to clean out her brain?" ISO sighed. "Yup, still a cute girl." "Ugh, fine. I get it. I get it. Just smack her a few times or something." ISO smirked and shook his head. "Some things never change. You're hopeless when it comes to cute girls. But honestly, she does need to be punished for this. Otherwise, no one in the entire facility will feel safe around desserts again." Since Core's mental maturity was barely that of a toddler, ISO figured the most direct and effective disciplinary method would do: a classic spanking. After all, he himself had gotten plenty of those from his mom growing up. As ISO began the disciplinary spanks, Core's eyes welled up with tears as she whimpered softly. Then the whimpering turned into full-on wailing sobs. Yep, she definitely felt that. Odds are, she wouldn't be repeating this behavior anytime soon. The big rat cut in coldly. "Well, punishment aside, we've got a bigger issue. We're completely out of food, except for lab feed. We need to go out for emergency shopping. Now." ISO, still holding a red-bottomed, sniffling Core, heard his own stomach grumble. "Great. I haven't had dinner either." The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. He gave Core another light smack. "This is your fault, glutton." The rat rubbed his chin. "So what do we do with her while we're out shopping? Leave her in the base?" "Are you insane?" ISO snapped. "She'll tear the entire place apart the moment we leave. Looks like we got no choice. We're bringing the Chaos Gremlin with us." ISO and the big rat both suited up, dressed to kill in sleek, formal suits. Mission ready. Operation Grocery Blitz, commence. Core, meanwhile, looked completely lost. She had no idea what was going on or why they were so overdressed. The rat grumbled, Hey, what kind of villain pose is that? Where's the drama?" ISO added firmly, "Even if we're just shopping, we're doing it with style." "All right, activating alchemical teleportation matrix. Destination, Lighthouse District." ISO pressed a button, and the arcane device began to hum, glowing with an eerie blue light. Never having seen such a thing before, Core grew visibly anxious, eyes darting nervously. Then, she quietly reached out and held ISO's hand. ISO glanced down, exasperated. She really is a walking contradiction. One minute she's fearless, the next she's trembling like a scared puppy. 3, 2, 1, eyes closed. With a flash of light and a low hum, the group vanished into the teleportation field. In the blink of an eye, ISO and the crew materialized in the heart of the city. Stretching his arms wide, ISO put on his most dramatic tone. "Welcome to our criminal paradise. There are 32 teleportation nodes in Golden City, but I'll always have a soft spot for the Lighthouse District. From here, you get the perfect panoramic view of the entire city. Breathtaking, isn't it?" Core's eyes sparkled as she gazed at the stunning skyline, completely enthralled by the dazzling urban sprawl. The big rat asked, "So, We heading straight to the supermarket? Absolutely not, ISO replied firmly. That outfit screams classified lab specimen. We need to get her into something more civilian. We're going to Gamera Goldstream Avenue, the fashion district. There'll be something perfect for Core there. The rat groaned. Seriously? That's like the luxury capital of the city. No need to blow money on fancy threads. And didn't we burn through most of our heist cash already? ISO smirked. Exactly. While we shop, we'll also be scouting our next glamorous crime scene. You can't infiltrate high society in rags, you know. ISO extended his hand to Core with a smirk. Take my hand. We're heading out. Without hesitation, Core placed her hand in his. What followed was a cinematic moment. ISO lifted her into his arms and leapt from the high ledge, descending in style. But the fall was faster than expected, and Core began to panic, clinging to ISO tighter and tighter. Just then, ISO activated the anti-gravity alchemical matrix. With a soft pulse of light, their plummeting slowed to a gentle glide. Core, eyes shut tightly, held on like her life depended on it. When she finally peaked again, they were suspended in midair. ISO, still carrying her effortlessly. They hovered above a glistening river, the city lights below reflecting like stars on the water surface. Next stop, Gamera Goldstream Avenue. ISO declared. The rat added eagerly. Dibs on the first hot dog stand. Just 2.5 minutes later, they arrived at the dazzling Gamera Goldstream Avenue. In the center of the plaza stood the towering statue of Gamera, bathed in golden light, majestic and proud. Core's eyes sparkled as she took in the sight. She had never seen anything like it and was visibly thrilled. Meanwhile, ISO was quietly cursing under his breath. Seriously? That rat's still not back from buying a hot dog? How long does it take? Suddenly, a young boy nearby tugged at his mother's sleeve. Mommy, look, that big sister's climbing so high. She's amazing. ISO scoffed. Who in their right mind climbs a public statue? This is a 5-star security zone under direct patrol. Not to mention, it's peak hero watch hours. Then he froze. Wait, big sister? Oh crap, that idiot Core. Where the hell did she go? He looked up, and sure enough, Core was already at the top of the Gamera statue, happily scaling the massive monument. You moron, get down here right now. ISO shouted in panic. But Core just grinned from the top, completely ignoring his command. Instead, she waved proudly, showing off like a kid who just won a trophy. Meanwhile, on the other side of the plaza, the rat was grumbling while inspecting his hot dog. I specifically asked for black garlic and mustard. Why the hell would they put ketchup? Don't they know I hate anything sour? He glanced at the time. Ugh, I've been gone a bit too long. ISO's definitely gonna whine about it. But before he could take another bite, a wave of crowd noise caught his attention. He looked up, and his jaw dropped. What the hell is going on up there? I was gone for 5 minutes, and this is what happens. Are they allergic to peace and quiet? Down below, a squad of city patrol officers was already on the scene, megaphones in hand. Attention, the Gamera statue is a protected landmark. Climbing is strictly prohibited. Ma'am, if you don't come down immediately, we'll be forced to intervene. Perched high on the statue, Core suddenly panicked. She had no idea how serious the situation was, or how to get down. The rat's expression grew grave. Damn it, climbing a protected statue is a felony here. Even if she didn't break anything, she could still get slapped with a year in jail. This is bad, really bad. I need to act fast. The fat rat quickly put on its sunglasses to conceal its identity. Time to vanish like a good villain. Betraying teammates is standard protocol, it muttered while blending into the crowd. Just then, someone in the crowd hurled a black canister. With a loud bang, the canister exploded, releasing a thick smoke screen. Enveloped by smoke, Izo roared in frustration. I swear, never, ever, ever bringing that girl out again. Using the chaos, the fat rat zipped through the fog and expertly slashed every patrol officer's belt with lightning speed. Take the disaster girl and run, it shouted heroically. Let me, the noble and self-sacrificing villain. Hold the line. As expected, the moment the officers stood up, they tripped over their own falling pants and toppled over like dominoes. Soon, Izo and his crew arrived at the prestigious luxury boutique, Golden Heritage. Gasping for breath, Izo muttered, "I swear, one day that disaster girl is going to be the end of me." At that moment, a blonde store manager barked, "Hey, keep your grubby hands off our display window." Another employee chimed in, "This is a liquid silver crystal window. Just your sweat could stain it. Can you even afford the cleaning fee?" Izo turned to the rat with a smirk. "Hey, Cheese, he says it gets dirty easily. What do you think we should do?" Without hesitation, the fat rat ran its enormous tongue all over the pristine glass. The blonde man snapped, "Are you deaf, you broke nobodies? Did you seriously just lick our display?" But before he could finish, the rat nonchalantly slapped a 1,000 yen bill onto the glass. The store manager stood frozen, stunned by the sight. In no time, the entire crystal window was covered in crisp, high-denomination bills. Izo smirked and teased, "Oops, looks like we smudged your fancy crystal display. But hey, it's got your precious baby bills stuck to it." "What now?" The blonde manager instantly bowed. "Oh, it's nothing, really. A little saliva on the glass is totally fine. Please, honored guests, come right in." Izo stepped forward with a commanding tone. "Bring out your most expensive evening gowns. All of them." The manager carefully began peeling the bills off the window like sacred relics. Meanwhile, Izo strolled into the boutique, flashing a smug grin at the flustered staff. Once the cash was collected, the manager rushed over. "Young sir, may I ask, what style of attire are you looking for today? Trench coat? Suit? Formal wear?" Izo simply pointed over his shoulder. "Not for me. For her." The manager quickly turned to the girl, bowing slightly. "Esteemed lady, what kind of dress might you be interested in?" Final Calamity just tilted her head, visibly confused, having no idea what the man was saying. Then she broke into a bright, clueless smile. The store manager froze in place. "That face, it's flawless. I've never seen such perfect beauty in my life." He thought to himself, "I didn't get a good look outside, and inside she was fiddling with mannequins like some lunatic. But now she's breathtaking. Such a stunning girl, wasted on that arrogant brat." Just then, Izo snapped him out of it. "Quit staring. Bring out your finest gowns. She's going to try on every last one." The assistants quickly brought over a selection of dresses. "Miss, please follow us to the fitting room. Evening gowns can be tricky to wear alone. We'll assist you." But Final Calamity suddenly backed away in fear, eyes darting toward Izo. "Master, master." Izo groaned. "It's just a dress. Chill out." The staff offered him tea. "Would you care for some tea, young sir?" "Bitter junk?" "No thanks." He called out, "Hey, rat. I saw you sneak a can of Black Bang soda before we left. Hand it over." "Don't bother me," muttered the rat. "I'm choosing the perfect hat for clubbing." 20 minutes later, Izo sighed, arms crossed. "What's taking so long?" One of the assistants peeked out of the fitting room, looking awkward. Sir, the young lady won't let us undress her. Could you maybe come talk to her?" Izo walked over and saw Final Calamity huddled on the floor, trembling like a scared child. "Come on, stop it. I'm right outside the door. Just change, okay?" At the sound of his voice, she slowly looked up. During the entire changing process, she kept nervously calling out, "Master, master." Izo, sitting outside the curtain, replied again and again, "I'm here. I'm here. Master. Still here. Master. For the last time, I'm not going anywhere." Soon, she stepped out wearing her first dress, Crimson Knight. Izo raised an eyebrow. "Huh, she actually looks kind of elegant in that thing." The store clerk quickly stepped forward. "Young master, how do you find this Crimson Knight dress? It's a limited edition designer piece, and your maid looks absolutely stunning in it." Izo frowned. "Maid, not girlfriend. Keep talking nonsense, and I'll make sure your tongue becomes an even number. It's passable, but not quite what I'm looking for. Don't you have anything better?" "Oh, young master, this is Golden Legacy after all. Even the elites from the Golden District shop here. If we can't satisfy you, No one on the entire Gamera Gilded Avenue can. Besides, this is just a warm-up. The real treasures are still coming. Soon after, Final Calamity emerged in another dress. While the design was bold and eye-catching, it lacked the elegance Izo wanted. Too flashy. Next, then came the golden gown, the Golden Empress. Izo felt his cheeks flush as he instinctively averted his gaze. Young master, this is our store's crown jewel, the Golden Empress. It said this gown was inspired by the attire of the Empress of the former Golden Empire. What do you think? Just then, a wooling Royce limo pulled up outside the store. Two suited attendants stepped out and unfurled a long black carpet with practiced precision. The moment the store manager caught sight of the crest on the carpet, his heart skipped a beat. Oh no, I completely forgot. Miss Kurakami reserved this time slot. He rushed to the fitting area and whispered frantically to Izo and the others. Please, honored guests, hide in the fitting room for now. I beg you, don't come out until Miss Kurakami has left. If she sees you here, I won't be the only one punished. You three might not walk out unscathed either. Outside, a graceful young woman stepped down from the car. It was none other than Kurakami Wakana, heiress of the Kurakami clan. Her polished shoes touched down on the black carpet with quiet authority. Wakana's feet feel a bit cold, she murmured softly. Her attendant, Akitin Go, immediately stepped forward. Leave it to me, my lady. Akitin Go swiftly drew his dual blades, sending sparks flying into the air. Amidst the fiery display, he calmly warned, Careful, my lady. The store manager bowed deeply. Good evening, Lady Kurakami. Wakana's voice was cool and commanding. I heard your store carries Lilith the Demon Scissor's annual limited edition, Dark Gothic Lolita. Show it to me. The manager smiled obsequiously. Of course. We've turned away every other client. We've been saving this gown just for your personal fitting, my lady. Meanwhile, Izo and his companions were huddled in the fitting room, silently observing the scene. Cheese Rat whispered, Kurakami Wakana. You don't think it's that Kurakami, do you? Izo nodded with certainty. One of the world nobles. No doubt about it. Koru responded with a string of cheerful ahs, as if agreeing. Cheese Rat scratched his head. But don't world nobles live exclusively in Golden District? That's supposed to be their playground, right? What's she doing here? Izo chuckled. Even paradise gets dull. Without the contrast to commoners, how can nobles flaunt their superiority? Soon, the blonde store manager guided Lady Kurakami to the limited edition gown. Right this way, Lady Kurakami. But just as she approached, she abruptly stopped walking. The black old carpet had come to an end. Her two attendants froze in terror, their faces pale as paper. Akiton Go roared. You knew the lady was entering a commoner district and still failed to prepare enough black gold carpet? Have you forgotten she refuses to wear shoes? What now? Do you want her to walk barefoot across this filth? The servants dropped to their knees, trembling. Lord Akiton, it was our failure. We accept any punishment. Akiton's eyes were icy. As servants of the Kurakami family, you know what must be done. They bowed deeply. Yes, we understand. Without hesitation, they drew short daggers, preparing for a ritual seppuku. But just as the blades began to plunge, they suddenly shattered into glittering fragments. It was Shinku Wakana's monk-like guardian who intervened. The Buddha teaches mercy. Cast away the blade and walk the path. The servants were moved to tears. Thank you, Master Shinku. Their gratitude was short-lived. Shinku's Vajra staff came crashing down, knocking them both to the ground. Wakana stood still, composed and unbothered, as if the chaos around her was merely background noise. With practiced grace, her guardians supported her by the arms, and Lady Kurakami strode forward, her feet stepping cleanly over the backs of her fallen servants. The rat fumed. What the hell? Are all world nobles this damn arrogant? Just then, Isalt spoke up. This is a golden opportunity. The rat blinked. What opportunity? To kidnap Lady Kurakami, obviously, Isalt said, dead serious. World nobles never leave the Golden District. This is a once-in-a-lifetime shot. The rat nearly had a heart attack. Are you out of your damn mind? Robbing banks, taunting patrol squads, even messing with city heroes. That's one thing. But kidnapping a world noble. Are you trying to get us erased from the map? Iseult shrugged. All of that was child's play. If we want to make Percy Lard a name feared across the world, we need a headline that matters. The rat, now trembling, grabbed Iseult by the collar. Do you have any idea what you're dealing with? Each of the world nobles has centuries, no, millennia, of history behind them. They helped build Golden City. To us, this place is a playground for crime. But to them, it's just one big toy box. And guess what? We're the toys. So what you're saying is the number 2 villain in Golden City, Dr. Madrat, is too scared to mess with the world nobles? Cut the reverse psychology, brat, the rat snapped. I am scared. And even if I wasn't, I'd at least make sure we're properly prepared. Meanwhile, Lady Kurakami had reached the display stand. Allow me, my lady, to present the annual masterpiece by Magi Taylor Lilith herself. But the moment the yellow-haired manager pulled off the cloth, everyone was stunned. It wasn't an elegant gown. It was a shredded pile of fabric, torn, tattered, barely wearable. The manager's face went pale. He collapsed to his knees in horror. This is the exclusive dress you reserved for me. Lady Kurakami's voice was eerily calm. Even Buddha won't be able to save you now. Iseult slowly turned his head and stared at the rat. This was your doing, wasn't it? Mad Rat gave a sheepish grin. Yeah, I got bored while the disaster chick was changing. Thought I'd spice things up a little for that snob manager. At that moment, Disaster Girl, who had been standing off to the side, let out an excited "yeah." She wanted to see the dress too, but in her excitement, she accidentally stepped on her own gown. With a thud, she toppled forward, crashing straight into Iseult and sending him stumbling out of the fitting room. The yellow-haired manager instantly pointed a shaky finger. It was him. He did it. Mad Rat face-bombed. We're screwed. We are so screwed. Red Tengu stepped forward, towering over them. Hey, kid, was it you? The moment he was grabbed, Iseult already had a power nullifier grenade palmed and ready. He smirked, eyes defiant. Yeah, I did it. Mad Rat blinked in disbelief. Is this lunatic serious? Why'd he confess that easily? The yellow-haired manager wiped cold sweat from his brow. Sorry, kid. If you don't die today, it's me who's done for. Red Tengu gave a sinister smile. Mischievous brat, I hate the look in your eyes. Let me gouge them out. Just as he raised his blade, a calm voice cut through the tension. Red Tengu. Stop. It was Lady Wakana Kuragami. I like this modified dress. The entire room went dead silent. No one could believe what they just heard. Iseult blinked. Did this woman lose her mind? But, Lady Wakana, he destroyed your designer gown. At least let me slice off a finger. Her eyes turned icy. Do I need to repeat myself? And no, ma'am. Red Tengu stammered, stepping back. Before leaving, he shot Iseult a glare. Better behave, punk. Meanwhile, Iseult remained calm on the surface, but inside he was counting options. Dragon Spider Toxin Grenade for a quick finish, or Power Nullifier to savor their helplessness. No matter how things turned out, Iseult could already picture tomorrow's headlines. Heiress of the Kuragami family kidnapped by the infamous villain Baron Iseult. But then, Lady Wakana let out a soft chuckle. I know who you are, and I know what you're planning. From the moment I stepped into this store, you already started entertaining that dangerously stupid idea. Iseult froze. Wait, she noticed us the entire time? Wakana continued smoothly, as if reading from script. You're just an intern here at Golden Aristocracy, but you're clearly dissatisfied with your lowly status. After overhearing that I'd be visiting tonight, you secretly shredded that designer gown to catch my attention and staged this little accident to appear before me dramatically. It's all about latching onto the Kuragami family, isn't it? Am I wrong? Iseult rolled his eyes inwardly. Wow, this narcissist just out-narcissisted me. Judging from your silence, I nailed it, didn't I? Wakana smirked. Still, you were willing to risk death to earn my gaze. That takes guts. So I'll grant you a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Kneel and kiss my foot. Do that, and I'll consider taking you in as my servant. Red Tengu, watching this unfold, was fuming with envy. What? She let this brat kiss her feet. I haven't even been allowed to touch her slippers. Deep inside, Lady Wakana was practically glowing with smug delight. This is the first time I've ever allowed a man to kiss my foot. He's gonna drop to his knees crying. I just know it. But if he gets too into it, should I stomp his head or kick him across the room? Decisions. But Isalt just scowled. Who the hell wants to kiss your sweaty foot? Cheese Rat nearly fainted. Did he really just say that to Lady Kuragami? Isalt kept going. You're loaded, right? Ever heard of shoes? Walking around barefoot like that just spreads foot sweat everywhere. You could catch plantar fasciitis, you know. Cheezer was completely dumbfounded. He's not just provoking her. He's giving her a foot health lecture. Lady Wakana's hands started trembling with rage, her perfect smile twitching. But the next second, tears welled up in her eyes. My feet smell nice. I spray perfume on them every day, she cried, voice quivering with injustice. Enraged, Wakana raised her hand, ready to slap him across the face. Meanwhile, Isalt smirked, eyes gleaming with strategy. Perfect. The second her hand swings down, I'll grab her arm, throw the powerless grenade, and boom, kidnap complete. But just as the slap was about to land, a flash of gold shot out from the dressing room. In an instant, the striking hand was caught midair. It was none other than Disaster Girl, now dressed in her evening gown. Cheese Rat gasped. What the heck? How did she even move that fast? I didn't see a thing. Akiton bellowed, unsheathing his blades. Take your filthy hands off Our Lady's arm now. Isalt sighed, rubbing his forehead. Great. This just got messy, eh? But Disaster Girl stood her ground, eyes unwavering, her grip on Wakana's arm as firm as ever. That's when Lady Wakana raised her voice. Stand down, Akiton. But milady, she just tried to attack you. Wakana shook her head calmly. She wasn't attacking me. She was protecting the boy behind her. Isalt narrowed his eyes. Has she figured out the connection between me and Cole? But the next moment, Lady Wakana dropped a bomb. You got your eyes on this boy too, huh? Planning to keep him as your personal pet. Akiton blushed furiously. Okay, keep him. Milady, what on earth have you been watching lately? If the family head hears this, we're doomed. The blonde store manager looked like he was about to faint. What is even happening right now? Seeing Disaster Girl silent, Wakana grew anxious. No denial? Is she that proud? Don't tell me. She already made her move on him? Disaster Girl simply stared at her blankly, her face full of innocent confusion. Wakana took a breath, her tone shifting. I don't know which noble house you belong to, but judging by that dress and your presence, there's no way you're just a commoner. But even so, Wakana said coolly, when the Black Rose of the Kurakami clan sets her eyes on something, she never lets it go. Name your price. I want that boy. Disaster Girl tilted her head again, still clueless about what any of this meant. Isalt scoffed. No, it's your family that should start naming prices. Excuse me. Wakana raised a brow. Isalt calmly pulled down his mask. Let me make it simple. Lady Wakana of House Kurakami, you are officially kidnapped by the greatest villain in Golden City, Baron Isalt of House Persilade. Milady, get back. Akiton roared. But Isalt had already tossed a suppression grenade. A burst of purple smoke engulfed the area. Wakana's elite guards stumbled, realizing too late that their powers had been completely neutralized. When the smoke cleared, Lady Wakana was gone. Do you even realize what you've done? The giant rat growled at Isalt. Our carefree days are officially on a countdown to doom. But Isalt remained unfazed. Relax. That wasn't just any suppression grenade. I used the Gen 3 upgraded version. It's laced with hippocampal neuron disruptors. Anyone who inhales, it will suffer major memory distortion. If his calculations were right, those two elite bodyguards should be completely scrambled by now. Sure enough, one of them, Shinku, was convinced the kidnapper was a frail, white-haired boy. Meanwhile, Akiton swore it was a chubby, blonde, freckle-faced brat. The two began arguing right there in the street, each yelling that the other was delusional. Back at the villain's base, Lady Wakana slowly regained consciousness. Iseult greeted her with a devilish grin. Welcome to Nightmare City, the heart of Golden City's #1 villain syndicate. I am Baron Iseult, heir of the great and ancient alchemist bloodline, the House of Persilade. The rat grinned wickedly. Congrats, princess. You've just become the official hostage of a gang of very, very bad people. Iseult was about to follow up with some sinister monologue until Coel suddenly popped out of nowhere, ruining the whole dramatic vibe. Didn't I tell you to stay in your room? Iseult snapped. The rat sighed. Great, there goes our perfectly crafted villain ambience. Meanwhile, Lady Wakana casually pushed off her gag with her tongue. So this is Golden City's top villain? Can't even tie a proper knot, she mocked. The rat leaned in, whispering, Iseult, I think our professionalism as evil villains just got annihilated. Iseult fired back, hey, you were in charge of the gag. Yeah, but you tied her hands and feet, didn't you? Iseult's eyes widened in horror. Wait, she undid the ropes too. Sure enough, Wakana was sitting there like a queen, completely unbound and perfectly calm. You just watch her untie herself? The rat cried out. She was already halfway done before I even noticed. I was mid-sentence. While Iseult and the rat were still arguing, Lady Wakana mysteriously vanished. What the? Where did she go? Iseult shouted, eyes darting around. Moments later, they spotted her casually sipping coffee in the corner, nibbling on his snacks, and even brewing a fresh cup like she owned the place. When the hell did she get over there? Iseult stormed over and pressed a weapon to her forehead. You're a hostage, not a guest. Keep pushing your luck, and I'll show you what true alchemical pain feels like. But Wakana didn't flinch. She just calmly took another sip. Alchemy, huh? Think it's scarier than the punishments in my family. Iseult narrowed his eyes. Such as, Wakana answered coolly, for example, iron stack burial. We tie the criminal spread eagle in a deep pit and slowly layer thin metal plates over their body, one by one. At first, it doesn't feel like much, Wakana explained. But as the iron plates stack up, your bones, organs, everything gets slowly crushed under the weight. Then there's the molten crown. You heat an iron helmet until it's nearly liquid and slap it on a shaved head. But my personal favorite is the 12-nest parasite. We drill 12 tiny holes into the body and breed centipedes inside. You get to watch them lay eggs in you. The rat gulped. Say, hypothetically, if we sent you back right now and claimed it was all a big misunderstanding, would your family maybe not use any of those? Iseult snapped. Are we a lost child hotline now? Use your brain for once. The rat muttered. It was just a hypothetical. Wakana smiled sweetly. Don't worry, I won't use those punishments on you, because those are the mild ones, reserved for accidental hand brushes. What you did calls for something much, much worse, something that'll make you curse the day you were born. The rat was frozen in place, practically turning to stone, but Wakana just smiled. Relax, I won't let my family unleash their private torture on you. In fact, I'm not even mad about the kidnapping. I'll even fund you. All I ask is one thing. What thing? The rat blurted out. Let me join you. I want to be part of your crew. Iseult and the rat both stared in disbelief. You? Join us? Are you serious? Wakana beamed. Dead serious. I'm bored out of my mind. But if I'm with you guys, I get to cause chaos, commit crimes, and have fun for once. And if you two manage to invent something that took down both Akiton and Shinku, that means you're the real deal. I'll be your secret sponsor. Just say the word. When Wakana flashed the card in her hand, the rat's jaw dropped to the floor. It was a black tier card from G-Bank, the highest level credit card in the entire city of Godden. How could a teen girl even own something like that? But Iseult didn't bat an eye. There's no such thing as free money. What's the catch? Wakana smiled slyly. Smart boy. The condition is simple. You do what I say. Iseult swatted her hand away. In your dreams. But before he could finish, the rat shoved him aside and stepped up. No problem. Not only will Iseult follow your lead, I will too. Miss Wakana, How much are you planning to invest in our criminal enterprise? Also, any chance you can wire it today? Today just feels lucky. Isalt was fuming. You rat bastard. Where's your family pride? Who said you get to speak for me? The rat shot back with zero shame. What's wrong with being sponsored? That way, we can focus 100% on pulling off the real legendary crimes. Isalt snapped. I'm the current head of House Persilad, and I say no. Our family bows to no one's orders or charity. Dose her with arachnid venom, tie her up again, and once she's out cold, send a ransom demand to the Kuragami clan within 24 hours. But Wakana calmly interjected, that won't work. You won't get a single coin for ransoming me. The Kuragami family creed states, the clan's dignity outweighs the life of any single member. Once someone is kidnapped, they're immediately considered disposable. They don't negotiate. They exterminate. And they make examples out of the captors. The rat blanched. That's seriously cold. I've changed my mind, Wakana suddenly said. I'll fund you. A hefty sum. No strings attached. All I ask is one thing. Kill the current head of the Kuragami family, Kuragami Inju. Isalt's eyes widened. Kuragami Inju? Isn't he your... Yes, Wakana cut him off coldly. He's my father. Now tell me, are Godin's so-called top villains brave enough to take on a real target? Izo accepted the job from Wakana Kurakami, killing her own father. In return, she wired him a massive sum. So, he took Tookie and the rat to one of the finest restaurants in town. After all, a professional killer shouldn't work on an empty stomach. The rat suddenly piped up, I thought you turned down that brat's request. Izo gave him a sideways glance. She's not asking me to kill my dad. What kind of assassin says no to money? The rat snorted. You don't even know who your dad is. What are you getting so principled about? Izo sighed. Mom said once I rebuild the family and take over the Gordon name, she'll tell me. The rat shrugged. Whatever. One step at a time. But let's not waste this overpriced meal. Still, gotta give it to that brat. She wired 20 million gold pounds as a down payment. That's like robbing 10 banks in one go. The rat let out a sigh. Being born into a capitalist dynasty might look glamorous, but the Kurakami family? They're brutal to their own blood. She was forced into martial and assassination training at 5. That's not parenting, that's weaponizing. Izo nodded. Yeah, she keeps 26 blades and 13 poison needles hidden in her sleeves. We had to slow down the security footage just to catch her moves. Lucky for us, she doesn't see us as targets. The rat suddenly snickered. Didn't that brat say she wanted to keep you as her boy toy? Izo shot back. If you're that eager to be spoiled, I'll mail you to the Kurakami estate tomorrow, with your toothbrush and pajamas. He added coldly, it's just business between us. Once I take out Kurakami Inso, I want nothing to do with that family again. Besides, thanks to her, my kidnapping op became a complete joke. The rat smirked. If you actually take out Kurakami Inso, and that little devil rises to power, our funding problems will be history. Besides, didn't you give her a little payback before sending her home? Turns out, after uncovering Wakana Kurakami's secret, Izo tied her up and gave her a taste of his newest invention, itchweed tailgrass. One brush of that stuff, and the itch multiplies exponentially. Torture by tickle, pure evil genius. Meanwhile, back at the Kurakami estate, Akitengu and Shinku were suspended in giant glass tanks, being punished for failing to protect their young mistress. Kurakami Inso calmly picked up a cup full of wriggling insects. Compared to centipedes, he said softly, these cold-blooded water larvae are far more skilled at burrowing into human flesh. And their egg count? 100 times more. For useless dogs who can't even guard their master, a little brain cleanse with these sounds just about right. Akitengu trembled uncontrollably, choking out a desperate plea. Please, give me one more chance. I swear I'll bring the young lady back safe and sound. Kurakami Inso sneered. You worthless worms can't even describe the kidnapper properly, and you dare talk to me about rescue? He tilted the cup, about to pour the swarm into the tank. At that very second, Wakana Kurakami stepped into the room. "Father, I'm fine. Please stop." The moment he saw her, Yinsu's expression flipped. He dropped the cup in a panic. Rushing to her, he wrapped her in a tight embrace. "Nana, my sweet Nana, you're safe. Thank God you're safe." 2.5 minutes later, Akatenga dropped to his knees before her. "Thank you, Lady Wakana. You saved my life." Wakana didn't respond. Instead, she casually pulled a bag of potato chips from inside her jacket. She tore it open and handed it to Akatengu. "These are delicious. Try one." Akatenga blinked in confusion. This commoner junk food? In the Kurakami estate. Wakana shot her a glare. "I said eat it. Who told you to start a debate?" Startled, Akatengu shoved one in her mouth, and immediately the crispy, savory burst hit her tongue. Her eyes widened. "What divine flavor is this?" She clutched the bag and started devouring it like a starved beast. "But, Lady Wakana, how did you escape the kidnappers?" she asked between crunches. Wakana gave a sly smile. "That's a secret backslash." Back in her room, she flopped face down onto the bed, blushing furiously. "Stupid Izo, always picking on me." Meanwhile, the store owner stormed into the police station to file a report. The theft of 3 designer outfits had cost him $800,000. But when the officer asked him to describe the suspects, the sketches looked nothing like the 2 Kurakami house servants. No matter how passionately he gestured, the officer refused to believe him. Just then, the door swung open. A pink-haired girl strolled in, smirking. "Heard someone lost 800 grand overnight. That poor sucker wouldn't be you, would it?" The officer stood up, ready to toss her out, but she pulled out a leather badge and shoved it right in his face. Turns out, the pink-haired girl was none other than the newly appointed chief of the Lighthouse District. The moment she introduced herself, the officer stared in disbelief. "You're kidding, right?" She casually propped one leg on the desk. "This kind of power pose? No one else in this building's got the guts to pull it off." The officer's face turned red. "Are you freaking messing with me?" But the pink-haired girl didn't care one bit. "Gotta give subordinates a little sugar, or they'll stop listening, you know? You get one touch. Just one. Then you do everything your chief says, capiche?" As she spoke, she playfully pulled open her shirt, revealing smooth, porcelain skin. The officer stormed out, slamming the door behind him, muttering, "Where the hell did this psycho sugar bomb come from?" At that moment, the Minotaur-headed squad captain walked by. "Mark, the new chief's in interrogation room 1. You gonna give her the VIP treatment?" Mark looked dazed. "Boss, you seriously telling me that little punk is our new chief? You're messing with me, right?" Before the captain could reply, a crowd of officers swarmed over. "Mark, the new chief is hot. Man, working at Lighthouse District just became a dream job." Suddenly, the Minotaur captain barked, "Enough! Shut it! Don't underestimate her." HQ spent an entire year screening before they chose her. The Minotaur captain lowered his voice. "I check her records. Nothing. No official background. Most likely a special appointment from someone high up." Before he could finish, the pink-haired girl popped up behind him. "Oh, backslash someone high up? Now who might that be?" Everyone froze. In a split second, the officers stood in perfect formation. "Awaiting your orders, Chief." She giggled, waving her hand. Relax, backslash. I'm not one of those stiff old men in suits. My leadership style? Simple. 3 words, fun, fire, and freestyle." Curly-haired rookie whispered, "Chief, that's actually 4 words." Instead of getting mad, she threw an arm around his shoulder. He turned bright red, half expecting a kiss. But instead, she slapped a cartoon frog sticker on his cheek. "Here, your reward sticker." After all that chaos, the pink-haired chief finally made her grand announcement. Effective immediately, the White Queen bank heist, the Kurakami kidnapping, and the Golden House gown theft will all be handled as a single case. And whoever brings me a solid lead gets to go on a date with yours truly, backslash. Instantly, the station exploded into chaos. Officers sprinted toward the archives like their lives depended on it. Curly-haired officer blinked. "Boss, didn't you say you hated petite women?" Why are you sprinting like a teenager on caffeine? The Minotaur captain growled. I just want justice. Once the herd cleared out, the pink-haired chief pulled out a photo and smirked. This time, you're not slipping away, my rebellious little boy. The photo showed Izo carrying Koel across Gamera Square. Turns out, she'd been there that day too, and caught it all on camera. Meanwhile, inside the prestigious Grand Theater of the Golden District, two ushers were chatting while prepping the stage. Did you hear? Maestro Meyer's coming to perform next Friday. You mean a Meyer? From Latoma. Forget the theater. His Black Ops squad, the Hound Shade, is way more infamous. They once infiltrated the Golden District to assassinate nobles. Mid-conversation, a stunning blonde woman strolled right past them. It was Izo, casually escorting Koel into the venue. One of the ushers couldn't stop staring at Koel, completely mesmerized. That's when the rat strutted up and hissed, Hey kid, keep staring at our lady, and I'll rip your eyeballs out. The usher jumped back and bowed repeatedly, totally forgetting to check their tickets. Later, when his co-worker brought it up, he shot back. Did you see that aura? She's clearly high society royalty. We don't mess with that. After slipping into the theater, Koel instantly switched back to her blank, airhead persona. She bent down slightly, looking up at Izo. Master, did I do good? Praise me. Then, out of nowhere, she lunged in and tried to lick his cheek. The rat scowled. Next mission, you're the one running errands. I'm sick of being the sidekick. Izo ignored him. Focus. We're here to map out the theater's structure. Next Friday, Kurakami Yinsu's attending a performance. He'll be seated in the main hall. Soon, they reached the designated location. This is it. Ground Zero. That's when Koel noticed a nearby poster and froze. It was a promotional banner for the legendary playwright Meyer, her biological father. The same man who stood by while the Hound Shade took her away. 2.5 minutes later, they completed their sweep of the main hall. But once outside, they realized something chilling. Koel was gone. At that moment, Seal spotted a portrait of her biological father inside the theater. Yet the man mistook her for just another admirer. Nervousness gripped Seal, and she hesitated for a moment. Still, she decided to reveal herself. But just as she was about to step forward, a little girl rushed ahead of her, throwing her arms around the man and shouting, Daddy. A woman followed, chiding gently. All right, Mallow, there are people watching. Don't cling to your father like that. The girl pouted playfully. So what? My dad is the world-famous playwright, Meyer. The man chuckled, adding, It's fine. Let her be. Besides, this young lady is one of my fans. But when he turned to look again, the girl from before had vanished. Meanwhile, rain began to pour outside, and Seal hurried out of the theater. The usher quickly called after her. Miss, you don't have an umbrella. One take mine. But she ignored him and kept walking. She wandered for some time until she reached a chaotic district. There, scantily clad women were soliciting clients. Drug dealers and addicts were trading openly in the alleys. And in the shadows, spies were secretly exchanging missions. Just then, Seal accidentally bumped into an old man. The old man snapped angrily. Can't you watch where you're going? An old man's shoulders aren't built to take hits like that. Seal stayed silent and kept walking. The scene quickly drew the attention of others. A streetwalker sneered, Sweetheart, that high-class look doesn't fit in Darkstar Alley. It wasn't until Seal realized she had walked straight into a dead end. She collapsed down, clutching her head. Her voice trembled with pain. Who am I? Who am I really? At that moment, a woman appeared, mocking her. Poor little sparrow. Lost your way home? The woman eyed her up and down, smirking. With a face like yours, you'd be perfect for us. Join the 1,000 birds. She reached out toward Seal's clothes, adding coldly, but in the 1,000 birds, personal belongings are forbidden. That outfit, hand it over. The moment her fingers brushed the fabric, Seal blocked her hand. The woman's face darkened, her tone sharp. Hey, before I get angry, you'd better move your hand. But Seal answered firmly, This was given by my master. I can't take it off. The woman let out a laugh, her eyes mocking. Blondie, you must be confused. Before Seal could react, the woman's palm cracked across her face in a vicious slap. The woman barked sharply. I asked you, are you taking it off or not? Seal held firm. I can't. The woman's lips curled into a mocking smile. Silver feathers shimmered at her fingertips as she hissed, if you won't take it off yourself, then I'll do it for you. With that, the feathers shot forward. They slashed through Seal's clothes, carving a cut across her face. The golden bead necklace snapped, pearls scattering across the ground. Meanwhile, a massive rat sniffed the air, tracking the scent. It was Izo, accompanied by the rat, searching for Seal. Before long, they reached the mouth of a shadowy alley. Izo asked in a low voice, is she here? The rat replied, yes, she's inside. Izo pressed urgently. Then what are we waiting for? Let's move. But the rat blocked him with a paw. Hold it. That's Darkstar Alley. It's the filth and chaos beneath the polished shell of the Lighthouse District. You could get lost anywhere else in the district and find your way back, but here, if you vanish in Darkstar Alley, you're gone for good. Izo scoffed, just a nest of street punks. You think I'd be afraid of a bunch of bottom feeders? But the rat shook his head. They're no bottom feeders. This is the Thousand Bird Stronghold. Those women are trouble. So much so that even the Lighthouse District Patrol can't keep them in check. Meanwhile, inside a warehouse, 3 women stood over a figure lying on the floor. The woman was drenched in blood, barely conscious. It was Seal. Their leader sneered, the new girl doesn't know the rules. Looks like we'll have to teach her properly. The streetwalker chuckled. She looks like some lovesick little thing. The drug dealer scoffed. Why bother? Men are the most disgusting, worthless creatures in this world. They're only fit to be our dogs. She turned to the men behind her and demanded, am I right? The men chorused obediently. Yes, we're all trash. Then the leader ordered, Crow, just to be safe, use your soul-searching technique. See what's in her head. At her command, Crow stepped forward, pressing a hand against Seal's head. As the spell took hold, fragments of memory flickered into view. The first to appear were moments tied to Izo. Glutton, let's see if you dare do that again. Seriously, do you eat with your face? Then came a memory of her father, Dad. The scene shifted back to the day she was abducted as a child. Dad, Dad, save me, she cried. She was locked inside a small cage. Then the man who had taken her appeared before her. He tossed a piece of food into the cage. The moment it hit the ground, 2 children lunged at it, fighting to claim it. Suddenly, a little girl shoved her to the ground. Then she lunged forward to snatch the food. The first child who reached it barely grabbed the piece, before another slammed an elbow into his head. Just as that child stuffed the food into his mouth, a rock came flying and cracked against his skull. In the end, the black-haired girl claimed the food. She warned coldly, I don't like hitting girls, so you'd better not fight me for it. After that, the man's harsh voice echoed, a dog that can't fight for food won't survive here. You are all hellhounds, and your only purpose is to carry out your master's orders. Without a command, you're not allowed to fall. As long as you can breathe, you must rise and drag your enemies down into hell. The moment Crow saw this, she froze. Wait, this woman's identity, could it be? At the same time, Izo clamped a container onto a man's head and demanded coldly, speak. Have you seen a girl in a golden dress? Inside the container buzzed an enormous green mosquito. Izo sneered. Friendly reminder, I've lost one of my key experimental assets, and I'm in a very foul mood. If you dare lie to me, you'll end up just like your partner. Sweat beaded on the rat's fur as he thought. Izo always said the bioneural bug was disgusting, and he never once used it. Looks like he's truly furious this time. Terrified, the man stammered. Why yes, I saw her. Our boss Silver Phoenix took her to a warehouse, said she needed to be taught a lesson. Izo's gaze turned icy. Move, you're leading the way. Before long, they entered the warehouse, only to be stunned by the sight before them. The floor was littered with corpses. Izo knelt to examine one, noting the fatal wounds were all slit throats. The rat confirmed, yeah, same here, all killed by throat cuts. Izo frowned, his mind racing. No. If Seal had lost control, she would have used the heat pressure steam cannon. So why are all these wounds from blades? Just then, a woman staggered out, clutching her bleeding neck, whispering weakly, "Help me." Izo rushed over. "Rat, we've still got one alive here." The woman's body was bare. The rat gasped, "That tattoo. Isn't she the Thousand Birds leader, Silver Phoenix? But why is she stripped naked?" Izo snapped, "Cut the crap. Heal her and get answers. Any later, and she'll be dead for good." A vial of healing serum was injected into the woman's body. 3 minutes later, the gash on her neck had already closed. Even then, terror lingered in her eyes as she muttered, "I couldn't see her blade." Izo pressed, "All right then, you're alive now, so spit it out. Was it a clueless-looking woman in a golden dress who killed all these people?" Silver Phoenix clutched her head, trembling uncontrollably. "I don't know. I really don't know." 1 hour earlier, Crow's hand was suddenly seized by Seal. With a brutal twist, Seal snapped it clean. Crow screamed in agony. But what shocked everyone even more was Seal's hair turned a vivid shade of purple in an instant, and the vacant, dazed look on her face disappeared completely. Seeing her subordinate captured, the gang leader fired 3 razor feathers. Yet Seal casually caught them with her bare hands. Silver Phoenix gasped. She caught my phoenix feather blades with her hands?" The drug dealer barked a threat. "This is Thousand Birds turf. Release Crow, or you'll never make out alive." Despite the pain, Crow forced out a warning. Don't touch her. She's the Hellhound." The streetwalker recoiled in shock. "What? She's the one who invaded the Golden Zone and assassinated a world noble. The Hellhound?" Hearing that, Silver Phoenix instantly folded. "Let her go. Whatever you want, name it." The drug dealer protested. "Boss, the Hellhound might not be as strong as the rumors say. And there are so many of us." "Shut up," Silver Phoenix barked. Then the man spoke to Seal earnestly. "We'll keep this quiet. Honestly, we can't stand the Lighthouse Patrol or those damned world nobles either." Seal replied coolly, "Take your clothes off." Silver Phoenix went bright red. "Hey, why would you?" she stammered. A moment later, the drug dealer slapped her forehead and snapped. "Boss, are you serious? She told you to strip and you actually did it? Thousand Birds has never been this embarrassingly pathetic since we formed." Crow barked urgently. "Shut up. If our boss hadn't backed down, we'd have been killed already." Silver Phoenix, humiliated and frantic, ordered, "Enough squabbling. Go find her some clothes now." Crow still fretted, "Boss, I don't trust this. Given the Hellhound style and her past, there's no way she'd spare us." At that moment, a cold male voice cut through. "Right. With the Hellhound's methods, not a single one of you would live." Everyone spun to face the sound. "Who's there?" they demanded. A man wearing a mask stepped forward. The next second, the drug dealer's throat was sliced. She collapsed dead. With her last breath, she stared at the boss. "Boss, run." The streetwalker was next. Her throat cut, blood pooling as she died. Then Crow was killed as well. The masked man finally approached Silver Phoenix. He sneered down at her. "Is this really the caliber of gang running Gordon City's underbelly? Killing you lot is easier than squashing a rat." After Silver Phoenix finished recounting the attack, the big rat stroked his chin and mused, "So it wasn't Disaster Girl who did this. But still, if the Hellhound is that strong, why couldn't Disaster Girl beat that bullet gentleman and his old wall lamp?" Izo frowned, puzzled. She switched back to purple hair? Impossible. How could that be? The Despair cocoon host experiments run thousands of times. This anomaly's never happened before. Silver Phoenix dropped to her knees before Izo, begging, "Please, save Crow and the others. If you bring them back, I'll do anything. The Thousand Birds will be your servants forever." Izo didn't answer, but the rat's eyes lit up. "Hey, you said it yourself." It leaned over the fallen members of Thousand Birds. "Their pupils are fixed. Normal methods won't work. If you really want to save them, we'd have to use that technology." Izo yanked the rat back by the scruff. "Quit wasting time chasing skirts. We need to find Seal and retrieve her. Otherwise, our most valuable experimental asset is gone for good. The rat shouted back, "Wait, at least let me leave them some preservative serum." Izo scoffed, "Preserve my ass. Weren't you the one who called saving people a bad habit?" The rat puffed its chest. "I'm a hypocrite. Deal with it." With that, it tossed out a small case. Silver Phoenix caught it. Inside were 3 vials of serum. Before she could ask, the rat barked, "Inject them, 1 each. If their bodies rot, there's no chance left at all." Meanwhile, on a massive bridge stretching across the sea, Seal stood there in the rain. She felt her body shifting, first her left arm, then her right eye, finally her heart. She murmured, "Was it that boy who saved me? Why is there a memory in my head that doesn't belong to me?" Just then, a man appeared behind her. "It's been a long time, Yorkshire," he said. Seal turned her head and answered, "Doberman, you're here." Doberman ordered coldly, "Report, Yorkshire. Why did your attempt to assassinate the Black Palace patriarch fail? And why did you vanish for so long afterward?" Seal replied, "Infiltrating the Black Palace estate went smoothly at first, but during the mission, I was suddenly poisoned without reason. Then I encountered a swordsman dressed as a cleric, calling himself the Dawn Dusk Blade. He severed my left arm and leg." Doberman mused, "So was the Dawn Dusk Blade? The Destiny Order's top swordsman, the living discipline, and a licensed city hero ranked number 5. It's no wonder you couldn't beat him. But here's what puzzles me. If your left arm and leg were severed, how are they whole again now?" Seal replied, "Someone saved me. I don't know the details. I was unconscious the whole time." Doberman shrugged. "Fine. If you didn't die, keep carrying out the Master's orders, Yorkshire." Seal placed a hand on her chest and said, "Yes." Then an abrupt voice cut through. "Now and forever, you will only ever have one master." The two turned to the sound and demanded, "Who's there?" Izo stepped forward, announcing himself. "That would be me, Izo Persilade." Doberman glanced at Seal. "Who's this kid? You know him?" Seal answered reluctantly, "He's the one who saved me." Doberman narrowed his eyes. "Even your vocal cords are healed? He's done a lot for you. Don't tell me you'll betray your master for him." Seal lowered her head and denied it. "I won't." Doberman said coldly, "Then go kill him. Once he's dead, we have far more important business to attend to." Seal closed her eyes and whispered, "Yes." Then she stepped toward Izo. In a low voice, she warned, "You shouldn't have followed me here. This could cost you your life." Izo removed his mask and smiled. "From the moment I pulled you out, you belong to the Persilade family." Izo's expression hardened as he warned, "If you don't come back with me right now, I'll spank you." Instinctively, Seal covered her backside. Memories of what Izo had done before made her cheeks flare crimson. She lashed out at him, snapping, "Shut up." But a hand suddenly caught hers mid-swing. The one who stopped her was none other than Lucille. Lucille grinned. "We meet again, worthless brat. Tonight, you and I are going to settle our score." Izo quickly warned, "Remember, don't use the Dark Plague virus on her. That would send the final calamity into a frenzy. If that happens again, I won't be able to save you." Lucille replied with full confidence, "Relax, little Izo. Every strain of Dark Plague virus known to exist, I can transmute them all with ease." She leaned closer, confirming, "So once I keep this worthless brat tied up, little Izo will finally spend the night with me, right?" Izo flushed and scolded, "Say that any louder and you'll never get to come out again." He then turned to face Doberman. Coldly, he declared, "To resolve the question of who controls experimental asset number 1, I'll just have to wipe out you hellhounds." Doberman sneered with disdain. "Here's a tip. Anyone who steps within 5 meters of me isn't truly alive anymore. And you're only a foot away." Seal spun around in alarm, shouting, "Doberman, wait." But before she finished, Doberman had already struck. His blade slashed across Izo's throat. Izo dropped to his knees, blood gushing from the wound, impossible to staunch. Doberman looked down on him with contempt. "Just as I thought, aside from your noise, you've got nothing." Then a red flash streaked through the air, stopping right at Doberman's brow. The attacker was Seal. Doberman seized her hand and growled, "Yorkshire, you'd better explain yourself right now, or I'll treat this as betrayal." Seal couldn't understand. Why were tears falling against her will? Why had she acted like this at all? Lucille was just as baffled, exclaiming, "Wait, wasn't I holding her?" Then she realized her hand was gone. The severed arm fell from the air with a thud. Lucille's face froze in disbelief. "When did he?" Seal gritted her teeth. "Didn't I tell you to wait?" At that moment, her right eye shifted, glowing with unnatural power. Doberman remained cold. "So this is about repaying that brat for saving you? You should know the Hellhound Code. No emotions for anyone but your master." Suddenly, Izo's laugh echoed. "Ah, interesting." Doberman spun around in shock. "Impossible, how?" Izo was already on his feet, calmly wiping the blood from his neck with a handkerchief. "Sorry, but I injected a cellular proliferation factor beforehand. Playing dead was just to test whether Seal, under the Hellhound persona, still remembered me. I'm Izo Persilade, the head of House Persilade and chairman of the Pure Research Society. If I could really be killed by crew tricks like that, it'd be pathetic." He then extended a hand towards Seal. "Come back to your true master." Instead, Seal dashed forward and slammed a fist into his gut. Doberman was stunned. What the hell? Why punch the kid all of a sudden? Lucille exploded with rage. "You bitch! How dare you hit my little Izo? Once I patch this arm back on, I'll get you all." Izo clutched his stomach, grimacing in pain. Seal snapped, "I'm not that blonde girl. Keep pushing me, and I won't hold back." Through clenched teeth, Izo said, "But I don't believe that. For instance, that teddy bear you all treasure so dearly. Instead of being a numb killing machine for the Hellhounds, why not let me give your life greater meaning? Join me. Through alchemy, we can rebuild this wretched world. A world where the ones you love and the ones who love you will never leave your side." Doberman cut him off coldly. "Too bad. Even if such a world existed, you wouldn't live to see it." At his words, a squad of fighters suddenly appeared. Doberman pointed and gave the order, "Kill them all." Instantly, the group charged straight at Izo and his allies. Izo chuckled. "Seriously? Numbers game? That's so outdated." He pulled a pistol from his jacket pocket. Confidence radiated from his voice. "At least now I've drawn out your real combat force. Time to end this in one sweep." With that, he fired a single shot into the sky. The bullet soared upward. Then it burst apart into glittering fragments. The next second, a monstrous dragon materialized on the bridge. For once, Doberman lost his composure, shouting, "What the hell is that?"